Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, and this is now episode 115. In this episode, we are going to talk about the Carolina Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater, the biggest games of week 3, and then transition to basketball and talk about Ben Simmons, the Houston Rockets, Timberwolves firing Rosas, and the Pelicans front office. This is now episode 115, and Riv has finally grown comfortable in me saying his full government name. He's not going by Riv anymore. He's going by River Brown. So you got to give yourself an applause for that, just for that fact alone, because you're finally growing up. You're maturing. You're getting used to people calling you by your government name.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting into that new landscape of being professional, so I got to be a professional.
Man, going into this episode, I was really excited to talk about this episode. I might have messed up this guy Rosa's last name. It might be Rojas, Rosas. You know how Spanish last names are. But I walked into this episode super grateful because yesterday I was on my phone. I was on TikTok. Because one of our TikToks went viral, a few of them actually. And OG, who we had on as a guest before on this podcast, duetted our TikTok, and his duet got like 470K views. Shout out to OG. He got his own podcast. Put that round of applause in right now. Round of applause for OG. And as I'm watching that duet, I kid you not, just the backstory on me and my personal life. I'm a Cancer. That's my zodiac sign. I don't believe in zodiacs too much, but I do.
You know what's crazy about that? Sorry to cut you off. My sister kind of guessed you were a Cancer too.
Why?
Because she watched one of our videos and she was like, who was the boy that said that you always laugh in front of the before you talk? And I was like, oh, that's my friend Joel. And she was like, he's a Cancer, right? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I could just tell by how he responded. I was just like, oh, all right, okay.
I don't believe in zodiac signs, but there's one thing about Cancer, the traits I think it fits me good, that we're sensitive and we're very emotional. And yesterday I saw the duet that OG made and I started to tear up. And I teared up because, man, I just looked at it. I teared up. I saw the numbers the video did. I saw the numbers our videos did. And I was like, wow, I would have never expected this a year ago. And I started to tear up a little bit. And, you can tell there's science behind this, that you can tell by which eye you tear from first, whether it's sadness or joy.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure which side it is, but I'm pretty sure my tear was of joy. It definitely wasn't of sadness. My tear was of joy, and I was like, man, I appreciate everybody that tunes into this podcast and that supports in any way, whether you support on YouTube, on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, whatever you do. I mean, everything, it adds up, and it means a lot, because a year ago, it wasn't like this. We were just getting started. We were just growing, and to see how far we've come in a short amount of time is really great. And I hope this grows into something where we can be one of the biggest sports podcasts in the world. I think it can grow to that eventually one day, and you guys are going to be the reason for that. It's going to be you guys.
So you believe in zodiac traits but not zodiac itself?
I believe in that specific trait to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe in zodiacs as a whole. I don't think, because there's some things that they say about Cancers that I don't think it fits me.
Well, I know the one thing is you guys are sensitive and emotional. That's like every Cancer I know. Like, very emotional, very in tune.
Little zodiac sign?
Aries.
Aries? Yeah. I don't know nothing about Aries.
Nonchalant. Takes everything as a joke. Doesn't really care much. So, a little bit of me.
And because this podcast has been growing so much and it has gone to a place that I think it would have never gone to, we have sponsors, and our sponsor, the Daily Stakes, they're going to help you guys with your betting needs, whether you're betting on football or MLB or whatever sports you choose. They cover the UFC, NFL, NBA, MMA, you name it. So because of that, we're going to slot them in right here. A little ad for the Daily Stakes. Shout out to them. Shout out to them for supporting us. And yeah, this is sponsored to you by the Daily Stakes. Most of the time when we bet, we aim for the stars, shoot for the dark, and hope our bet turns out correct. When you sign up with the Daily Stakes, that won't be the case. The Daily Stakes provides you with the same analytics used by professional sports bettors and sports books to give you the edge you need. You will have access to model projections, key stats, and confidence ratings so you can be educated with the bet you are making and feel comfortable with it. The Daily Stakes covers the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and the UFC. Another awesome feature the Daily Stakes has is that they host weekly contests that give you a chance to win an authentic sports jersey. And all you have to do is answer games that are going to be happening that current week. There are 3 types of memberships. The Sport Card membership gives you access to one league of your choosing and the features mentioned before for $14.99 a month. The All Sports plan gives you access to all leagues they cover, the features mentioned before, and the ability to have a one-on-one session with the Daily Stakes team to guide you on your betting needs for $29.99 a month. And if you aren't sure about which one to choose, you can try the All Sports trial, which is $6.99 a week, and it gives you all the features the All Sports plan offers outside of the one-on-one session and the ability to enter giveaways. If you are interested in any of these packages, you can get a 30% discount code when you use the code PICKASIDE at checkout. That is PICKASIDE, PICKASIDE at checkout. The link to the Daily Stakes website will be in our description box down below. And now we're back. And before we get on to the show, let's give a quick Patreon shout out to Brian Jean Baptist, Ricky Bennett, E, Enzo Tomga, Matthew Jimenez, Sean Solis, Sean, Devon McLaurin, Rice Family, John Pintavelli, Sean Triplett, Burner Hoops, Cat Stevens, Ben Mack, P. Dot, George Garcia, Hikari, Mateen, and Jay Aqua. We are now at 18 Patreons. That's insane. I'm so grateful for that, man. Puts a big smile on my face. Puts a big smile on my face. And this episode is going to be a great episode. We're going to talk about football. We're going to talk about basketball. Mostly basketball. There's only 3 football topics we have slated on this episode. So today is going to be mostly basketball, but we'll start off with football. Thursday night recap. Panthers beat the Texans 24-9. And the Panthers are now 3-0. Sam Darnold leaves the Jets. He's now 3-0. He looks like a very good quarterback. But before we talk about Sam Darnold, what did you think about the Carolina Panthers versus the Texans?
Well, at first when the game started, I thought it was going to be a cakewalk, especially considering the fact that Tyrod Taylor wasn't going to play. So I thought, at the most, Carolina was going to come in, they was going to do their thing, and it was just going to be an easy win. But in the first half, you can see it. Carolina kind of struggled a little bit, and the Texans were kind of putting up a fight. But then in the second half, that defense just started to really put in that pain, and Sam Darnold started to get a couple rushing touchdowns. He started to find his groove. DJ Moore is one of the most consistent wide receivers in the NFL, and he was just doing what he does. So I think, and I think people are going to knock Carolina because of the 3 teams they played. Saints hurt, Jets, and the Texans, of course. But I think, it's just the energy that defense brings on that other side. They seem motivated. They seem hungry. They seem like they really play within each other, for each other. And they're young. Shaq Thomas is playing one of the best football of his career. Brian Burns, Daquan Jones, J.C. Horn. I know he's going to be out for a couple weeks, but he was playing big for them too. Dante Jackson, solid. So this defense is young. It's exciting. Has a high motor, and I know these 3 games don't really say much, but still, you have to look at the positives, and they've been playing great.
You're right. Somebody is going to say something, and that someone is me, because the 3 teams they have faced, there's no other way around it. They just haven't been too good. The Saints would have changed that narrative,
Yep.
But they came into the game without 7 defensive starters. Half their coaching staff was gone from the game, so that's why I can't give the Panthers too much credit. But 3-0 is 3-0, and they have the Cowboys, they have the Vikings, and their schedule isn't so difficult where they can't make it 5-0.
Yep.
So they are in a good position right now. My biggest takeaway was that the Texans, for one, with Davis Mills, I think he played fairly well for a rookie, but you couldn't expect him to do much. The Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold, he was making a lot of great throws on third downs. He stood in the pocket. He took some big shots and still made some excellent throws. He had 300 yards passing. This year, he already has 2 games with 300-plus yards passing, more than he tying what he had last year in 2020. So he's already off to an insane start. He has 6 touchdowns on the year, 1 interception, 888 passing yards. He's about to have a career season. You mentioned DJ Moore. But, man, something about the Panthers' offense is that they're allergic to Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson had 1 reception for 8 yards. He did drop a crucial third down pass. But Robbie Anderson, where is he?
You think it's a Panthers thing or just a Sam Darnold thing?
I think
last year he played really well.
I think it might be a little bit of both. I do think that Sam Darnold might be a little bit to blame there, because I think with Sam, his strengths is short, intermediate passing. Robbie Anderson, we know, is a vertical threat.
Yep.
With Teddy Bridgewater, I think they pushed the ball down the field more, and they gave more looks to Robbie. I do think Sam and Robbie will start clicking more, but even when I was in New York, well, when Sam was in New York, I'm still in New York. I'm still on the Jets bandwagon. Even when Sam was in New York with Robbie, that connection wasn't fluid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a lot of underthrows. There was a lot of miscommunication there, and that could have been a product of Adam Gase, or it could have been Sam Darnold, or both. You never know. But in Carolina so far, he had that big one touchdown pass against the Jets in week 1. But after that, he's kind of been silent, so we'll see if he picks it up. But the Panthers dominated this game. I mean, 407 yards to 193. Panthers had double the first downs. They had 11 more minutes time of possession. And I think what has made the Panthers so good is their defense. And you mentioned Shaq Thompson. You mentioned J.C. Horn. They don't even have A.J. Boye yet. You know, when A.J. Boye comes back, he's going to bolster up that secondary. But the one guy that people aren't mentioning much, they might start mentioning soon. And in the offseason, I thought this was one of the more underrated moves in the offseason as a whole, was Hassan Reddick signing to the Carolina Panthers. Yep. In 2020, he had 12.5 sacks with Arizona. The reason that happened is because Chandler Jones got hurt and Hassan Reddick got to play on the edge. All of his life, through high school and college, he was an edge rusher. He was an outside linebacker. When he was drafted in the first round by Arizona, they tried to turn him into an inside linebacker, which is why he never had much success. But then Chandler Jones goes down. He's forced to play there. He has 12.5 sacks. Now, with the Panthers, they want him to be on the edge. And so far, he has 4.5 sacks. He's about to have a career season. He might have more than 12.5 sacks this upcoming season. And you pair him up with Brian Burns. Then on the inside, Derek Brown, Daquan Jones. I mean, this is an elite pass rushing defensive line unit. And I think Hassan Reddick has been the difference. Not many people are talking about him right now. Not many people talked about him in the offseason, but I think he has been the biggest difference to Carolina's defense. Hassan Reddick is a premier pass rusher in this league.
Yeah, their front seven is dangerous. And, you know, their secondary is young. But like you said, A.J. Bowie coming back is going to bring that veteranship, and he's going to bolster that secondary. But that secondary with Jeremy Chin, J.C. Horn, it's a young group, but that front seven is just so dynamic. And I'm really interested to see them play the Cowboys, them play the Vikings, you know, teams with a little bit of a better offense than what we've seen them play so far, because, you know, that's going to be really the difference for them. Can they beat those caliber teams? And I think, you know, they're going to make some noise, and they may not win the division, obviously, because Tampa Bay is still around, but they're going to be fighting with New Orleans all year for that second spot. And Sam Darnold, you know, I saw a stat. I said, like, this was, like, his most yards in the 3 games that he's ever had, with even more with the Jets. And it was interesting to me because, like you said, Adam Gase was a bad coach. You know, he wasn't good. But Sam Darnold, you know, playing in that system, we thought that maybe this would be the last chance he had to revive his career. You know, Carolina would be it. This would be the one chance. And we knew it because the offense, the weapons were there. You know, CMC, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. CMC is going to be out for a few weeks too, so that's going to hurt him a little bit. But the weapons were there. Sam Darnold just needed to be good, and he's been playing like a really good quarterback.
Yeah, and that leads me to my second question about Sam Darnold. And, you know, what do you think about Sam Darnold now? What is he proving to you? You know, because not too long ago, I was really high on Sam. Yep. Obviously, I switched my tune a bit. Just to give my take on this first, Sam Darnold, talent was never the question with Sam. Sam has talent. That's why he was a 3rd overall pick. And that's why before the 2018 draft, a lot of people had him as a number 1 overall pick. He has the talent. It's just in New York, different OCs, specifically Adam Gase kind of, you know, sabotaging his career. Sam Darnold was inconsistent. He made bad decisions. And so far with the Panthers, he hasn't faced great teams that put him in those positions to make a questionable play. He's been playing great, but he has been playing out of this world top 5 quarterback exceptional. He's just been playing solid. He's been managing the game, and that's okay. But I think what this shows me about Sam Darnold, you know, the reason Sam Darnold is doing so good right now, and I think what we can learn from his situation is that every quarterback, mostly every quarterback, needs a good enough situation to showcase their talents. That's all it means. So before you go on and you slander these rookie quarterbacks or these young quarterbacks, when you can tell they're in awful situations, think about Sam Darnold. Think about Ryan Tannehill. Think about Alex Smith. For the first couple of years in his career, was one of the was the worst quarterback in the NFL. Then Jim Harbaugh comes into San Francisco. Alex Smith plays exceptional. Then he goes to KC and has great seasons. He even had an MVP-like season the year Mahomes was sitting on the bench. So before you think about these quarterbacks and how bad they're doing, even though you know they're in awful situations, think about these other quarterbacks and how situation matters. Situation and quarterback play, it correlates. They both go hand in hand. So before you slander these quarterbacks that you see are in bad situations, think about these other guys and, think before you speak on them, because obviously situation matters a ton.
Yeah, and I agree. I think situation, unless you're a Peyton Manning, like a general, or Andrew Luck, a generation like quarterback, situation plays a big part. You look at the rookies now. Mac Jones in a great situation. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson in bad situation. They're not playing up to expectation, but the talent is there. And I think with Sam Darnold, not just situation, but mindset too. He was the youngest quarterback in the NFL, one of the youngest players in the league when he came in. He was young. He's still young relatively. He's 22, 23 years old, so he's still a young guy. What you can see in his game now is maturity. He's grown up. He's adjusted. You can see the poise in his game. You can see the level of maturity in his game where now he's a little bit more comfortable. He's a little bit more understanding of the game, and that's been New York where he was there. He was a kid. He didn't have that leadership quality. He was a little bit underwhelmed, and now you can see him in a whole different mindset and a whole different environment. He just looks a lot better.
Just to name a couple of quarterbacks, because I think this is a great point. I thought about this the other day, and just to ask, are you touching something under the table?
Oh, I don't know. I might be moving. My fault.
Okay, yeah, because it's bringing some feedback on the mics. So I thought about this, and it made me think about how we view quarterbacks.
Yep.
You look at Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes sat before he played. Mm-hmm. Now he's great. But KC was a great situation. Aaron Rodgers had Brett Favre. Brett Favre leaves. The Packers are still a great situation. Rodgers didn't play until his fourth year in the league. He sat a ton. You look at these other quarterbacks like Steve Young. He sat behind Joe Montana, and then he ended up being great. You look down the line of these great quarterbacks, even Tom Brady. Drew Bledsoe gets knocked out, but the Patriots were a good situation. You look at all of these top quarterbacks in the NFL, most of them were put in great situations to succeed right off the bat. Dak Prescott, his rookie season with Zeke, that defense, that offensive line, good situation, even though he was exceptional too. Russell Wilson, Legion of Boom. These quarterbacks were put in good situations. You hardly ever hear of a quarterback going from the gutter with the organization and bringing them to the top. Too. Yeah, Lamar Jackson is another one. Peyton Manning, he's probably one of the few exceptions. Even John Elway, when John Elway was drafted, he was known as a generational talent. He didn't want to go to the Colts. That's why he went to the Broncos, because of the situation. He wanted to free himself from that situation. Eli Manning, not going to the Chargers, going to New York. And now Phillip Rivers is known as one of the better stat guys, but he's never won. And Eli is known as a guy who wasn't much of a stat guy, but won. So situation matters a whole ton, and you rarely ever get to see a quarterback drafted one change an organization. In the past decade, let's just say I think Cam was probably one of them with the Carolina Panthers. He changed them around. Andrew Luck, but even Andrew Luck, the year previous, before they went 2-14, Peyton Manning led that team to the playoffs. So it was still a pretty good team, but Andrew Luck, you could say he did lead that organization.
What about RG3?
I think Washington was assembled well. They had Mike Shanahan as coach, Kyle Shanahan as the OC. I mean, they had a great, Sean McVay was on that coaching staff. They had a great coaching staff, and they had talent around him. But he might be one of those few other guys, but Ryan Tannehill with Miami not starting good. Yep. Alex Smith, with the 49ers, bad situation, didn't lead them anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So these are just examples in how it's hard for a quarterback to come in right away and just take an organization out of the gutter. And Sam Darnold failing in New York, I don't think is a testament to his talent, because obviously, we see in Carolina, he's doing good so far. But the Carolina Panthers did lose J.C. Horn in this game and Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
And they have the Dallas Cowboys next. So what do you think the CMC injury means and the J.C. Horn injury means? Because CMC, it's a hamstring. He's out a couple of weeks. J.C. Horn, it's broken foot.
Yeah. I mean, CMC is great for Sam because, like you said, he loves the short and intermediate passes. And CMC is one of those guys that makes those routes for him. CMC, regardless of that, is he's their best offensive player by far. So that's a huge loss for them. Dallas is, defensively, I think Carolina's going to be okay. But Dallas's secondary has proven it's been all right, as of late. It's been solid. Trayvon Diggs, Jordan Lewis. So it's been all right. So they're probably going to give Carolina some troubles. I still think Carolina can come out and get that W just if Sam continues to play the way he plays game, playing the game at his pace, running the clock, managing the clock well. I think they can still get done because that defense has been playing at an elite level.
Yeah, I think so too. I think CMC is a huge loss. And it sucks because CMC being hurt adds fuel to the running backs don't matter debate, which isn't even much of a debate. If you watch football and you have been following it, you know that running backs don't matter. CMC getting injured is the latest testament to that, but also Tony Pollard playing better than Ezekiel Elliott and looking more dynamic and productive when he does get those snaps is also a testament to that running backs don't matter statement. You can say the Cowboys messed up by paying Zeke because Tony Pollard looks just as good. Carolina Panthers paid CMC. Last year, the Panthers had a running back that came out of nowhere that was highly productive in Mike Davis, and now he's in Atlanta. So you can fill the void of running back, and CMC getting hurt kind of adds fuel to that debate. I think the big loss here is J.C. Horn. That secondary was already good with Horn and with Dante Jackson. But now, when you have Horn, A.J. Boye, Dante Jackson, Jeremy Chin on that back end, I mean, this defense is really one of the better units all across the board. And losing him is going to be huge. I do think A.J. Boye can hold it down. Dallas, I'm not sure what to think of Dallas so far. I think it's too early for me to have a valid opinion. But I will say this, if the Panthers do beat Dallas, I will be very impressed.
I could dig it because Dallas is like a 50-50. They can play like one of the best teams in the league, and they can just totally play like garbage. But, yeah, this would be a big win for Carolina. Definitely can fuel that fire of we're actually a really good team and we're just not beating scrubs because Dallas is a good team.
Week 3, biggest games of the weekend. The first one just happened, the Panthers and Texans, even though that's not a big game. But these are the biggest games of the weekend that I've, stumbled upon. Chargers versus Chiefs, Colts versus Titans, Buccaneers versus Rams, Packers versus Niners, and the Eagles versus Cowboys. Which one are you most looking forward to?
Well, I'm surprised you didn't say Bills and Washington football team. I'm surprised you didn't say that.
I don't think it's as big as a game as these games right here. And Carson Wentz is playing.
Carson Wentz is playing, and I it's interesting because I like the rivalry games. I thought Bengals and Pittsburgh was going to be a really good game too, but of course I'm interested in Philly and Dallas. Rivalry game. That's going to be a great game. Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott. Of course, Tampa versus the Rams. Even though AB isn't playing, I still feel like this is going to be a different vibe game. This is a different energy game. Matthew Stafford's first big game with the Rams against Tampa Bay, a team that they're going to be competing with for the NFC crown. So I think that's going to be a huge game. Obviously, Chargers versus the Chiefs. This is Herbert's game right here. This is the game that can really put the Chargers on the map, can make them really feel like, though, we're here, we're coming, this is going to be our division. So this is another game. I feel like those are the two games because Matthew Stafford being in a new situation, in a winning environment, this could obviously put a different vibe to the energy in L.A. And also, of course, the Chargers because Justin Herbert can come in and he's the next guy up after Patrick Mahomes.
So for me, it's easy. The one I'm looking forward to the most is the Buccaneers versus the Rams. And before I give my take on this game, I was watching NFL Live on ESPN and also NFL Network and NFL Game Day Morning, and they're talking about this game and how it means so much. I think it means a lot. I don't think it means as much as people think it means. Like they're saying Matthew Stafford was brought in to win games like this and stuff like that. And while that's true, I don't disagree with it. It is week 3. You know, we did see last year the Saints beat the Buccaneers twice in the regular season, pretty much embarrassed them both times, and the Buccaneers still beat them in the playoffs. So if the Buccaneers win this game, I don't think that means the Rams are out of contention or vice versa. I just think this is going to be a great game, defensive matchup, because you look at the Buccaneers, what they do the best, they pass the ball, no risk it, no biscuit, Bruce Arians' philosophy. Rams have a good secondary, and they have that pass rush. Aaron Donald is looking forward to getting to Tom Brady. Ali Marpet has his hands full. But then on the Rams side, I think what these analysts said about Matthew Stafford was correct. You know, Matthew Stafford was very good in Detroit. He was great at times, but at times he also cost the Lions games with his late interception woes. And he has gotten this sympathy treatment from everybody, fans, media, because we all felt bad for his time in Detroit. Now, he's not getting that anymore. He has to produce, and he has to show that he's significantly better than Jared Goff. Not just a little bit, not just Jared Goff to Kirk Cousins better, but Jared Goff to like Russell Wilson better. He has to showcase that he was a gigantic upgrade. And winning a game like this is going to showcase that. Against the Colts, he was good, but he didn't do anything in that game that told me Jared Goff couldn't come in here and do something similar.
Okay. What about game 1?
Chicago. It's against Chicago. Even though I've seen Goff struggle against Chicago, but this is a different Bears team. This isn't the 2018 Bears that I saw Goff struggle against.
Yeah.
This is the 2021 Bears. Defense is completely different. Vic Fangio is not there. You know, I'm not saying Matthew Stafford, he's made some throws that I've said Goff can't make that.
Of course.
But I've also seen Jared Goff for a couple of quarters hold the Lions above water. Yeah. And I don't think slotting in Matthew Stafford in Detroit in the games Goff has played would help them win any of those games either. I think they would have been 0-2 regardless. And I think Jared Goff with the Rams right now probably is still 2-0. You know, I don't see, especially if Carson Wentz goes down in that game, you know, I still think they're 2-0. So I think Matthew Stafford, to really justify that trade, he has to win about 12 to 13 games this season.
I think he has to win the division. You know, I think this has to be, you know, this is the first year out of your situation. And granted, people gave him the pity for Detroit, and we all know Detroit is a very bad organization. Yeah. So it's like we're going to give you the leeway, but the Rams are not. You know, the Rams are legit. Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl with this team. Granted, it's not the same team. Todd Gurley was at his best, but still, Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl. You have to at least win the division, make the NFC Championship. Like, it's championship or bust for the Rams because they have everything they need to go that far, and Matthew Stafford was told he's the missing piece. So I definitely agree with that statement.
And it's a different situation from Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold with the Jets didn't play good. Because of that, everybody thought Sam Darnold is not good.
Yep.
And all he has to do in Carolina is prove that he is good. Matthew Stafford, we knew was good. Now he has to prove that he's elite.
Yep.
Like, he's going from good to elite. Darnold just had to go from bad to good. You know, he didn't have to make too big of a jump. Matthew Stafford has to really justify that trade and play out of this world. And I think Stafford can do it. I'm a big Stafford fan. But looking at the division realistically, Jimmy G is the only quarterback you can say Stafford is better than. You know, you
definitively.
Can't. Yeah, he's not better than. I don't think he's better than Kyler. He's not better than Russell Wilson. So because of that, in a division where you're the third best quarterback, even though that is a loaded division, there is some questions because I think Jared Goff would have been the third best quarterback in the division if he was here too. You think he's not better than Jimmy G?
I think they're in the same type of...
I think he's better than Jimmy G.
He probably is, but I think like the gap between Jared Goff and K1 and Russell is bigger than the gap between Stafford and K1 and Russell.
Nah, I agree. You know, I don't say this to, you know, act like I'm hating on Stafford. I love Matthew Stafford as a quarterback, but we also have to be objective.
He has something to prove.
He has a lot to prove with the Rams, and it can't just be a wild card appearance. It can't just be beating up on bad teams.
Yep.
He has to show up and not make those late game mistakes, which in Detroit, yeah, I get it. They were a bad team, but he also made a lot of mistakes in Detroit. He also threw a lot of boneheaded interceptions. I saw a lot of that from him as well. So it's not like he was this picture-perfect quarterback. You know, there was still flaws with his game as well. But, of course, being in Detroit kind of elevated those flaws, kind of made them more apparent to everybody else. But now on the big stage, we'll see how he does with the Rams. I hope he does well.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford is a guy who's looking to prove himself. And Teddy Bridgewater is a guy looking to prove himself, right? Teddy Bridgewater is someone who tore his ACL with Minnesota. He led them to the playoffs, made a Pro Bowl. Tore his ACL, was out for like a year or two. Then went to the Jets, played with the Jets in the preseason. He was competing with Sam Darnold for that quarterback spot, for that starting quarterback spot. But the Jets said, we're going to start Darnold. We're going to trade Teddy away to the Saints, which might have been a mistake in hindsight because he would have been a great bridge for Darnold to come in and learn under a quarterback and then eventually play. He gets traded to the Saints, does exceptionally well with them when Breeze is out, goes 5-0, throws 9 touchdowns, 0 INTs, gets a contract from Carolina, pretty hefty contract, plays okay. Now they trade Bridgewater and they get Sam instead. Now Bridgewater is in Denver, and so far everybody is talking about Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Mahomes, and even Derek Carr in the MVP conversation.
Don't forget J1.
I did say Kyler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the question is, can Teddy Bridgewater sneak into the MVP conversation? Right now, he has thrown 592 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, has a 77% completion percentage, and an 82.7 QBR, which ranks first in the NFL. So numbers-wise, he has played like an MVP quarterback. It's just been 2 games. So do you think Teddy can sneak into the MVP conversation?
Well, I saw his next 6-7 games. They're brutal. It's gonna get bad. After this week, I believe they play Jacksonville.
It's Jets, Ravens, Steelers.
Oh, Jets. After they play the Jets, it gets really brutal. After
Ravens,
this.
Steelers, Raiders, Browns, Washington.
So it's gonna get tough. But I think because you look at the quarterbacks, and this is what I like about football. It's not like the NBA. There's no real narrative. If you play good in the NFL, you get recognized, especially as a quarterback in the MVP race. Teddy Bridgewater, if he plays great, he's going to get recognized. They're going to talk about him. The thing is, I just don't know if he's going to play exceptional. I think his counting stats are going to be K1s or Pat Mahomes or Tom Brady's or even Matthew Stafford. I don't think he's going to have the counting numbers. But I think if they continue to win games and Teddy Bridgewater is the guy who's shining in those games, I don't see why he can't sneak into the MVP race. He has the defense there. His offense is there. He has the weapons, So I think if he keeps playing the way he's playing, granted, he's kind of getting that same rep that the Panthers have gotten. They haven't played anybody yet. So, I mean, the Giants, I think we can both agree the Giants are a good team. That's a good defense. But he hasn't really played anybody yet. So it's going to get brutal next. But the schedule that he's about to play in really can put him in that MVP conversation if he plays great.
I think he can. And I mentioned this in a previous podcast before. I think episode 113, I mentioned this
last week
when we talked about Denver. Yeah. But Pat Shurmur's tenure with the Giants made people forget that he's actually a pretty damn good play caller. He was a play caller for Minnesota when Case Keenum was in the MVP conversation. I mean, Case Keenum, before the Vikings, before Shurmur, was a backup. I mean, and one of the worst ones at that. Now he goes to Minnesota. He's in the MVP conversation, responsible for the Minnesota Miracle. I mean, Pat Shurmur was exceptional that year. I mean, Pat Shurmur turned Case Keenum into an MVP candidate. Daniel Jones' rookie year, he threw 24 touchdowns. Daniel Jones threw 24 touchdowns in his rookie year with Pat Shurmur calling the plays. And Daniel Jones hasn't done that since. We'll see if he does that this upcoming season. Pat Shurmur can make an average QB look good and a good quarterback look great. I think Teddy is a good quarterback that Shurmur is making look great or even better than he is right now. Obviously, Teddy's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's not, but I think the play calling has a lot to do with his success right now. And those things go hand in hand, OC, play caller, and quarterback. And that's why I think Teddy can be in the MVP conversation. You talked about their schedule being brutal. I don't think it's too brutal. The Jets, I think they'll be okay against them. The Jets, even though they've had a good defense so far, you know, the Jets defense has not been a pushover. Yeah. They've been solid. The Ravens, they are prone to giving up a lot of passing yards, especially this season. We saw that against the Raiders. We saw that against the Chiefs. Of course, we know what the Chiefs are. But I think the Broncos and Raiders have similar talent to where if I saw the Raiders, if I saw what the Raiders can do to the Ravens, I think the Broncos can do it as well. The Steelers, okay, that's going to be a tough defensive, rugged game. The Raiders, that's going to be a shootout. The Browns, I'm not sold on their defense. I think that's going to be a shootout as well. And then Washington, you know, I think Washington and Pittsburgh are going to be the two rugged games. But the other games, I think Teddy can put up big numbers against them. And maybe not even big numbers. I'm kind of over-exaggerating it. Maybe like 230 passing yards with like 2 touchdowns each game, which they're good numbers. But if he does that consistently, he could be in that MVP conversation because his efficiency would be off the charts.
I don't like how you just made Baltimore seem like a pushover. That's a tough
I don't
game.
think they're a pushover, but I definitely don't think they're this lockdown defensive unit.
They don't, but I don't think they need to be. You know, because
I mean, you don't have. We know what Marlon Humphrey is, but not having Marcus Peters there
that's
is
tough.
Huge. And linebackers, they don't have much coverage linebackers outside of Patrick Queen.
Yeah.
And even him, he's still learning the game. He's still very young. Their safeties aren't anything exceptional. I mean, really, Baltimore's defense is okay, but they're not this elite defensive unit.
Yeah, I just think, you know, when you have Lamar, games are going to be tough, you know. And Baltimore isn't a pushover. You know, they did just beat the Chiefs, and not a lot of teams do that. So, and the Raiders, you know, that's going to be a division game, so that's going to be what it is. You know, division games are always tough. But, yeah, like you said, if Pittsburgh can get healthy by that game, that's going to be a defensive game. And that's going to be the first time we see Teddy get really tested on the other side of the field. So, and same with what was the team you mentioned after this? Washington, same thing. That's going to be the first time that both defensive lines are going to test that offensive line of Denver. So, those two games are really going to be the tough games. But like you said, I think we can both agree on it. He can probably sneak in. You know, I don't know if he's going to have the counting numbers, though. Like, if he's going to have I know he's going to manage the game. I know he's going to take some shots. But is he going to have the consistent 250s, 260s, maybe 300s, 2 TDs, 3 TD games? That's the question. And I don't know because it depends on Teddy Bridgewater.
Last week, episode 113, Drew was here, and a take that he had went viral on TikTok because he said he would rather Drew Lock start than Teddy Bridgewater. And that video has resurfaced not only on YouTube Shorts but also on TikTok, and people are of course, disagreeing with it because the Broncos are 2-0.
You tried to say resurfaced, so you posted it.
No, resurfaced. What that means is that the clip went viral.
Oh.
It stopped. Then it went viral again after Teddy did it. So it resurfaced. And I didn't disagree with Drew's take. I thought Teddy Bridgewater should have been the starter from the start.
Me too.
Because I just think he's able to manage a game. And Drew Lock, you don't know what you're going to get with him. He's a wild card. He could have an exceptional game. He could throw 2 picks and cost you the game. Teddy Bridgewater, you know he's not going to cost you the game. And I think that's what Denver needs. And now he's having a career season. We'll see if he can keep it up. But I do think he can sneak into that MVP conversation. And I think it's partly because of Pat Shurmur calling plays. I do think his Giants tenure did kind of sway public opinion on him as a play caller because he wasn't a great head coach. He didn't know how to manage personalities. But as just an offensive mind and play caller, he is really good.
I think just people were upset with Drew because he was okay with losing, having another losing season. And Denver fans were tired of that, and they felt Teddy, which so far it's been true, Teddy can bring them some wins. And I
don't know. A lot of people thought Drew Lock should have been the starter before Teddy was named it. Yeah, I think even Denver fans thought that.
Yeah, I'm just reading what I've been reading, like, as Teddy was started to winning. So I didn't read before, I'm reading now. And people have been saying, no, we're tired of losing. And Drew Lock, he gives you that 50-50 chance. But I think we know what he is at this point. Like, he's a guy he's just not that good right now. I mean, but like you said, situations could change. And Drew Lock could just not be the vibe for Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we knew what Drew Lock was too. But I think now when quarterbacks struggle in their first couple of seasons, first two for Drew Lock, there's still hope amongst fans that they can turn it around because Josh Allen is the example everybody turns to. But there are not many Josh Allens. You know, there are not many guys that are that talented. And Drew Lock, even though he had some good games, he had a lot of bad in between there. And this is a Broncos team that had talent. You know, with the Bills and Josh Allen, he was throwing his rookie year, he was throwing to Reuben Foster. That was his best receiver. Second year was Cole Beasley and John Brown. They were good, but he didn't have a number one. You know, Drew Lock missed a lot of Jerry Jeudy last year. And I just waved my hand because I see this fly flying around. Yeah. I don't know if the camera can catch that. There was a fly flying around. I was trying to swat it. I always try to kill insects when they're around me, bro.
Bothers you? It
doesn't bother me, but actually does bother me. Yeah. It disturbs my presence.
Yeah.
I feel like they're plying on me. I have a knack for catching flies, though.
Really?
Yeah, I have really good reflexes.
One thing, I hate killing spiders.
Why?
I'm scared as hell of them. So I move away from them. I'm really scared.
What made you scared of them?
8-legged freaks.
8-legged freaks? What's that, a movie?
Yeah, with David Arquette. It's a movie about spiders. It made me really scared of them when I was a kid. So don't like them.
And that's going to do it for the NFL talk. Like I told you guys, it's going to be short NFL today. We're mostly going to talk about NBA today. And before we go into our first segment talking about the Timberwolves, Avery Bradley has agreed to sign with the Golden State Warriors, which means Isaiah Thomas is not going to be on the team. He's not getting signed. It's their loss, man. It's their loss. But what do you think about Avery Bradley going to Golden State?
More depth. I mean, he's a good defensive guard. I don't think he's really a point guard, though. He's more of a two, but good defensive guard, can shoot the three ball, can guard multiple positions, you know. Just more depth behind Steph Curry, honestly. Just a guy in case Steph goes down or Jordan Poole goes down. What Golden State lacked last year was guys to step up when guys got healthy. You know, Steph went down. Wiggins missed a couple games. No Clay, no Poole. So, you know, Avery Bradley just brings more depth.
Yeah, I think this is cool. I don't know if it does too much for them because at the guard spot, you do have Steph. You do have Clay coming back. But behind them, I'm not sure. Moses Moody is there too, but I think they would prefer Bradley over Moody. Right now, at this point, at this given time, Jordan Poole is there too. So I don't know. Maybe they can go with a Bradley and Poole two-guard lineup off the bench. You know, Bradley would mask Poole's defensive woes, and Poole can be that creator, you know, that he is right now currently. So I think Avery Bradley was a pretty good pickup. Yeah. And I think that's why they didn't go with AT, because AT is offense, but he's not going to bring you defense.
Poole already.
Yeah, so. I think they want to bring in defense. And even with Klay Thompson, right, because the knock on Klay Thompson coming back from this injury is that he can't be the defender that he once was. So let's say, you know, of course we know Golden State is not going to rush Thompson back. If he plays, there's going to be a couple months where he's getting 20 to 23 minutes a game. He's not going to be playing over 30. Because of that, Bradley could be that guy at the two with Steph. Mm-hmm. And it could be obviously not Klay and Steph like before, but it could be that Bradley's the defensive stopper. Steph gets to rest on that end, and he kind of picks up that responsibility.
Yep, just like that. I mean, Moody's 6'6", though. I prefer him. I prefer the height and the length. Bradley's
but do you think he's a better defender than Bradley right now?
No, I just think he can guard more because of his length and his height. You know, Bradley's really small. We'll see, though. I mean, nonetheless, good depth. I mean, Klay's not coming back till Christmas.
That's a while.
It's December, so.
So what's the projected starter lineup?
They haven't said anything yet.
Oh, we know Steph, Dre, and Wiggins.
Wiggins we don't know because he didn't get the vaccine.
But he's still going to play.
Well, he can't play home games.
Why not?
Because I think they required the vaccine to play home games.
You sure?
Yeah, I think. I'm not like 100%, but I think they made a big deal out of that he might not be able to play at the start of the season.
Let me check. So, how Andrew Wiggins refuses to receive COVID-19 vaccine compromises Warriors.
Yeah, it's something in there.
He said he doesn't see himself getting it unless he's forced to. Mm. And he said, unless I'm forced to somehow. So I don't know what that means, you know.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, I don't know if they expect him to I don't know if they just expect him to, you know, just people just come into his house and like, you know.
Or put a gun to his head.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I'm not sure. I don't think it says anything about requiring a vaccine. Okay, yeah. In the Warriors' case, they all are also subject to the city of San Francisco's ruling that people have to show proof of being fully vaccinated to attend a large indoor gathering.
There it is.
So, yeah, Wiggins will not be able to play any of the Warriors' games at the Chase Center.
He might not even play some on the road, too.
That's big. That is big.
Because now you lost your best defender at the moment on the perimeter.
I was seeing a lot of tweets about his decision not to get the vaccine and people talking about, well, it's not like Andrew Wiggins has been immune to bad shot selection in the past.
Goodness.
So they were making fun of him for not getting it. I mean, this is big. I mean, obviously, if a guy's getting that type of contract, you expect him to follow all of the guidelines.
Yep.
I mean, he's getting, $30 million a year? So he definitely should get the vaccine. Like, you're at this point, you got to play.
Yeah.
This is your job.
I think they're forcing you by telling you, bro, you can't play a home game if you don't get the vaccine. You should get it. I mean, that's disrespectful to your teammates.
That changes the Warriors because now would they start Kuminga?
Because he's going to
Actually, no. Otto Porter's starting.
At the 3rd?
Or 4. He could either both. He could do both.
I keep telling you Looney's going to start. Why do you not keep listening to
So, okay, Steph, you think Looney's starting over Wiseman?
Wiseman's he's not ready yet.
Okay, so Steph, Porter, Draymond, and Looney.
Yes, bro.
So then the two who can
probably be Moody.
You think Moody starts over Bradley?
I think Poole is not going to start.
No, he's not. I don't think he is. It's just too much of a defensive liability.
Yeah. Stephen Poole is
I think Moody's a really good defender, but I mean, obviously Summer League doesn't tell you the whole story, but in Summer League, Moody wasn't lighting the world on fire on either ends.
Nope.
So now in the NBA, he's going to look kind of lost, at least in the beginning. Or you could pick it up. I'm not sure. But if I'm going to state, I'll start with Steph, Bradley, Porter, Draymond.
I mean, that leaves your bench full of rookies. Then you got Poole, Kuminga, Moody,
Bielitsa,
Toscano.
I mean, it has to be full of rookies at this point. I mean, the Warriors made that decision when they decided not to trade those draft picks.
Yep.
They already were going to have 2 lottery picks, plus Poole is young.
But Wiggins puts a hole because Otto Porter would have came off the bench with the young guys.
Yeah.
So now
Wiggins kind of messed it up. He messed up because that bench would have been great with Otto and Jordan Poole there.
Even Bradley, but Clay's
that's why you don't think they start Wiseman to have Looney and veteranship off the bench.
Wiseman's not going to be ready. I'm telling you, I don't think Looney. They love Looney for some reason, bro. I think he's going to start. I mean, I hope he doesn't. I like Wiseman, but Wiseman, he's not ready. He won't be ready by.
I forgot who they also have. Andre Iguodala.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Wow, there we go.
He's in the lineup.
So he's on the bench,
or he could start. You think he starts over Porter though? I don't think he does.
Nah, they need that 3-and-D.
Yeah.
Iggy looked really bad last year.
What if they just go with the small ball 5 lineup? They go Iggy, Draymond, Porter, Bradley, Steph. That's really good defensively.
You might as well.
I think that'll be like their closing lineup.
But then again, that's what they didn't want to do. That's the same thing as last year. Steph has to create everything.
Bradley can do a little bit. I mean, he averaged 16.
But you don't have to guard Iggy and Dre at this point.
You're right, but Iggy can create a little bit too. He's a good playmaker.
He can, but he's gonna pass it. Like he's gonna.
So their closing lineup could be. I think Bradley probably should be in it for defense.
I don't know. I think Poole has to be in.
Poole has to be in it. Porter has to be in it. Draymond, of course.
Depends on who you're playing.
Yeah, honestly, it really depends. But the thing about Steph is that they don't want him to create everything, but he can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only going to really affect Golden State when they face elite teams that really key in on him. But these other teams that aren't too great, it's not going to be too big of a problem.
I mean, they got LA opening night.
The Clippers or Lakers?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Lakers. When I say LA, the Lakers. They have the Lakers opening night in LA. So, do you need the vaccine to play in LA?
It's Los Angeles. I don't think there's not many restrictions in LA.
Wiggins might be able to play that game.
I don't think so. So
that's tough.
That's such a dilemma.
They have both LA teams actually that week.
Wow, that's such a dilemma for them. It's a shame, honestly. If Wiggins isn't able to play like over half their games because of that, that's really dumb on his part.
Yeah.
So Timberwolves, we've talked about them a lot during the offseason, and we appreciate that Timberwolves fans enjoy our videos, but we have some sad news, right? Because Timberwolves fired Gerson Rosas, and I hope I'm saying that name right. I might not be. And They fired him unexpectedly. It shocked everybody. Karl Anthony Towns even tweeted WTF on Twitter because he was shocked by this. And many people thought that this would lead to Cat demanding a trade, but it hasn't happened, and I don't think he's planning on doing it either, so that's a good sign. But to summarize it, his reign, according to The Athletic, I was reading their article, was described as dysfunctional, and rival teams would complain about how he treated relationships and negotiations, and some said Rosas worked long staff hours without giving his input on decision-making. And one member said, he's not who I thought he was. And he was also criticized for firing Ryan Saunders and bringing in Chris Finch. And Rosas, who's also married, had intimate relations with someone who worked in the organization, which made people uncomfortable. So this dude got fired, and his marriage is in shambles right now.
His life is in shambles.
This is double L's for him.
Yeah.
But he also had backers, right? Everybody wasn't crucifying this guy. He had backers. I'm guessing Cat was one of them because he tweeted WTF. But some people in the organization blame the organization and the pandemic and not Rosas. And also, some insisted that it was an environment in which people could speak freely and offer their views on what needed to be done. And that teams across the board, the league, were dealing with issues of discontent among overworked scouts, executive coaches, and players. I'm not sure what that second part has to do with the first part, but the point is that he did have backers. Some people thought that it was a great organization to work for, and the environment, it was a free and open environment. So this is like a 50-50 thing, right? Some people are saying he was horrible, the culture was toxic, he was having an affair while working, and the other side is saying, no, he's actually a good dude. I respected him, and this firing shocked me. So what are your thoughts on this whole dilemma?
It just sounds like the typical world. You know, some people liked him, some people didn't. Some people had a different opinion. I feel like it's good because now Timberwolves can go in a new direction. They've been in shambles for a long time. You know, Minnesota hasn't been a good organization since freaking Kevin Garnett. You know, and the hires Rose was making, David Kahn, Saunders, they put, you know, Tom Thibodeau's a great coach. He shouldn't have general manager duties. I'm sorry. That's just not what he should be doing. I think Rosas has, if that's his name, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think he didn't make the best decisions for the Timberwolves. And it's just it's a start in a new direction. You know, you get a new guy in there, maybe somebody who appeals more to the players, somebody who's more of a connector, somebody who's more of a people person. And then you can start this new trend. You know, Anthony Edwards is now here. D-Lo's here, Cat's here. You got a young set group of guys, new coach, new environment. So this is something that you can just bring that's different, a different energy, a different vibe to the arena because Minnesota has talent. They just haven't been good in a long time. They've made the playoffs, one time in 10 years?
With Jimmy and Thibodeau, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, and they won a game. And then before that, it's been a KG era. So this team needs to buckle down and really figure out what this franchise is because it's embarrassing.
So I'm kind of split on this, right? Because you talked about they need a new direction. I'm not sure that's true because Gerson Rosas was just hired. I mean, this happened after Thibodeau was fired. It's not too long ago. He didn't have much time to really fix the Timberwolves. And this is a tweet from Dane Moore, who covers the Timberwolves, and he's a host of a Timberwolves podcast with the Blue Wire Pods, I believe. And he said, Gerson Rosas was terrific to work with as a media member. Was transparent, always available on or off the record, came on my pod numerous times, and we know how much that means, you know, coming on a podcast. That's huge for us podcasters, so we can never agree with that. And somehow found out I got laid off. This guy, Dane Moore, was laid off. And before he told his family, Rosas already knew about it and called me that day. And called him that day and actually, you know, spoke to him about it and stuff. So it looks like he was a pretty good human being. And this last thing Dane Moore said was that Rosas treated you like a real person. And of course, when people work in the NBA, whether it's athletes or executives or coaches, oftentimes as a media member, you don't get treated like a real person because you're just looked at as the media. So I guess this kind of speaks to the point that Rosas was a good person. My biggest concern with this move is that Rosas fired Ryan Saunders, which, If you think it was justified, that's your opinion. I think I'm 50-50 on the decision. I think Ryan Saunders probably wasn't ready to be head coach, but I think the firing was unexpected. And he hired Chris Finch. He brought in his head coach from the Toronto Raptors. Now, they just promoted this fellow named Sachin Gupta. I hope I'm saying that right. He's the first person of Indian origin to run a basketball organization.
Nice.
So this is a W for Indians all across the world. So hit that applause button right there. Shout out to Indians right now. Gupta, new president of basketball operations.
That's a good move.
I'm not sure if it is. We'll see.
No, I mean like good move for the culture.
Okay, that's a good move for the culture. Even though we lost a Spanish brother today, we lost a Spanish brother yesterday. But Gupta, he's the creator of the ESPN Trade Machine, and he's a respected mind, but Chris Finch is not his head coach. So is this guy going to try to tear down everything Rosas did? Is he going to try to...
Rosas is gone now.
I know, so there's no reason why he can't, and Gupta and Rosas had beef during their tenure in Minnesota because I keep forgetting his last name. Gupta... He wanted to get a GM job somewhere else, but he believed that Rosas was blocking him from doing so. So there was some beef between them as well. But that's my biggest worry, is that he could try and ruin what Rosas was trying to build. We know the Timberwolves wanted Ben Simmons. Now, are they going to get Ben Simmons? We're not sure. I read a report somewhere that said Rosas, the reason behind his firing was because the Timberwolves felt like he was going to make an impulsive decision in trading for Ben Simmons. So this firing could have had something to do with the Wolves not wanting Ben and stopping Rosas from trying to trade for Ben, and that's why they fired him, and that's why Gupta was promoted. But the report said that the Timberwolves have been doing internal investigations on Rosas for a while, and even though they did find out about that affair, that wasn't the reason they fired him. They fired him because of basketball reasons, and because Mark Lore and Alex Rodriguez, who are about to be Timberwolves' new ownership and have a majority stake, want a new direction. They were worried about the concerns that they were receiving from people about Rosas. So it does seem like, the Timberwolves are a mess, but this isn't new to Timberwolves fans. It kind of has been that way for a while. But Rosas, I don't think, did a bad job. You can only say the only miss was Jared Culver. But Jared Vanderbilt has been good. Naz Reid has been good. Anthony Edwards, we know that was a hit. The other young guy, Malik Beasley, getting him was good. Even though, another thing that I read in the article was that people inside the organization were upset about the D'Lo trade because they felt like the protections on the first-round picks weren't good enough. So, but I thought the D'Lo trade was good too. And now getting Pat Bev, I think that was a good move too. So getting Pat Bev, D'Lo, Beasley, Edwards, Cat, McDaniels. I mean, he's assembled a pretty talented roster. It's not like they're not talented.
I think this is one of my dark horses to make the playoffs in the West. I think that their only real problem is inconsistency of defense. It's been inconsistency in the front office, and it's been defense on that end, and also they haven't been able to stay healthy. So,
I think that's been the biggest one.
Yeah, but they've had what? Cat has had 7, 8, 9 coaches run through his tenure in Minnesota. So it's like he's had a good coach, he's had a bad coach, he's had a terrible coach, he's had a great coach. You
said 7 to 8.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's been that, but he got drafted in 2015.
It's at least 5.
Ryan Saunders, Tom Thibodeau,
David
now
Kahn.
Chris Finch. I don't know if it's been 7 or 8. It's probably been 5.
Yeah, I could have guessed it on 7, 8. It felt like 7, 8. Was Flip his coach or no?
So it was. Let me check right here. Flip was not his coach. So it was Sam Mitchell, Tom Thibodeau, Ryan Saunders, and now Chris Finch. So like 4. Yeah. Yeah. So not 7.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought 7.
Yeah,
7 is
that's
a lot.
OD.
Yeah, 7 is a lot. But yeah, it's Minnesota's in a strange place, man. They're in a strange place. The front office is running. It's a mess right now. And they're going to run Cat out of town, honestly. D'Lo was a Band-Aid. Winning fixes everything, and they have to start winning. And hopefully this Indian guy can change the face. I don't remember. Gupta can change the face. Sorry, guys. Gupta can change the face. You know, hopefully, I don't know. Chris Finch, the players seem like they like Chris Finch. So
yeah, they do.
If Gupta wants to win, hopefully he keeps Finch because the players really vibe to Chris Finch. And if not, then that's just going to put a different narrative to the players, you know? So Minnesota's, man, I feel bad for them, dog. They give me a headache, man.
Media day is Monday, so, you know, we're going to get press conferences from Cat and, you know, the front office, the coaches. So we'll see where everybody stands on this. It's going to be a huge day for Timberwolves fans. But, yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about this, really. I'm not sure if this was a good or bad move. This is one of those moves that Tom is going to tell, you know, because you could think Rosas was really good and they were trending in the right direction. But maybe Gupta's better. You know, you're not sure. He could be better.
Yeah. We'll see. Minnesota, I don't know, man. Minnesota's crazy.
maybe that Indian guy can. Yeah, that shit's hilarious, bro.
I mean, they did bring in Pat Bev. They are still trying to get Ben Simmons, but Minnesota fans do not want to give up D-Lo.
They shouldn't. I wouldn't want to.
But, you know, Malik Beasley is the only guy you would probably give up for Ben Simmons.
But it's really about, do you think Ben Simmons is better than D-Lo?
I don't even think it's about that because D-Lo was there for Cat.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes you got to make hard decisions. So,
well, it's who's going to bring more to the team?
I mean, realistically, if you do have Ben and you have floor spacers like Beasley and Pat Bev with Cat,
but this is.
That could be better.
But this is, that's the thing. This is Ben if he has a new mindset. You're bringing in
I think even Ben, how he played last season. Not playoff Ben, but like regular season Ben.
I mean, they don't want playoff Ben.
I mean, they got to make the playoffs first to get playoff Ben.
That's true. You know, I would want to keep D-Lo.
Me too. I would want to too.
I don't know. It depends.
Because I think Ben fills that 4 spot.
Yeah.
Because I think people are expecting Ben to be this primary ball handler when.
Who does? You want Pat Bev at the 1?
No, I'm just saying, like, I think people expect Ben to be this kind of LeBron-esque, Luka Doncic primary ball handler and be kind of play like Giannis. When, you know, Gilbert Arenas mentioned that on his show. And you know how I feel about Gilbert Arenas takes.
They're terrible.
Yeah, where I think Ben Simmons is more of a complementary player. So I think he's more of a secondary playmaker. So I think that's why having D'Lo there still would be better, because if you trade D'Lo for Ben, you're basically telling Ben, we want you to run the team.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if he can run a team. That's kind of the big question mark with him.
He's not aggressive enough.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what goes on. The Mavericks also made a little bit of a change to their front office. Bob Voulgaris and the Mavericks will part ways, and this was a big storyline in the offseason because earlier in the offseason, there were reports of him running the organization and being a shadow GM. The reason why some speculated Don Nelson and Rick Carlisle left was because of Voulgaris, and he was the director of quantitative research, which basically just means he was an analytic guy, and he would give his input on what trades or players to draft and stuff like that. And this could be a chance for a culture shift within the Dallas Mavericks organization. At least I think so. I don't think there's too much to talk about this with. You know, I just put it in there because I think it's some newsworthy stuff. But something also happened with the Mavericks, right? ESPN's top 100 list came out. They already named the top 10 players in the NBA. And Luka ranked 4th on that list over Steph Curry, over James Harden, over Anthony Davis, over Dame, Embiid, and Jokic. Now, Steph Curry, I think I already know how you feel about that. I already know that you think Steph is better than Luka. I'm not going to ask you. But do you think Luka warranted being above James Harden on this list? Because this has been a debate on Twitter.
Well, first, let me start by saying good for getting him out of Vulgari. I think we talked about it.
We talked about it.
When we was like, he's probably going to be gone.
We talk about everything.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're definitely having a culture shift. No, I do not believe Luka is better than James Harden. I think James Harden is the 6th best basketball player in the league. I think with Kawhi being out, he is now the 5th best basketball player in the league. I think Luka is right behind Harden. I think people forget what Harden was doing last year when Kevin Durant and Kyrie weren't playing, and then when Kyrie came back, and then when KD came back. I think people forget who Harden has been even before those two, carrying the Rockets, going into the playoffs, giving Golden State fit, something LeBron could not do to Kevin Durant Warriors. He was giving them absolute hell. I think what people are doing with Luka is, they're just hyping him up to be the face of the league, trying to brand him fourth best player in the league. I don't know. I think you can make an argument, but I still think guys like Steph and Harden have the case because of the fact that, they have cemented themselves as one of the greatest players in basketball.
They're not hyping up Luka Doncic. They're not hyping up Luka to be the face of the league. He is the face of the league, and there's no doubt about it. And if this was a ranking based off the last 3 seasons, okay, Harden is above Luka. Where I push back on that is Harden, we know in the regular season averaging 24 and 11 basically. He was phenomenal. We know Harden is a great player. He's one of my favorite of all time. He is my favorite player of all time. But Luka, man, he reminds me a lot of James Harden. But Luka is James Harden plus the playoff performance. Like, Luka Doncic is what James Harden is in the regular season, but the difference is that Luka takes it to another level in the playoffs where James Harden either stays the same or drops his production and efficiency. Luka's basically 28, 9, and 9. He improved his defense, and he upped his three-point percentage to 35% on 8 attempts last season, and he takes some deep-range threes, even deeper than what James Harden takes, which is crazy to say. Luka in the playoffs so far, in his first-round series, combining those games, which amounts to 13 games, has averaged 33.5 points per game, 8.8 rebounds, 9.5 assists, shoots 49% from the field, and 39% from 3. Took the Clippers to 6 games with Porzingis, then to 7 this past playoffs without having much help. He went berserk against the Clippers. Harden's best playoff run was 18-19 season. He averaged 31.6 points per game, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 41% and 35% from the 3. When we talk about efficiency, Luka is far better than Harden in the playoffs. When we talk about production, your points and assists and rebounds and even limiting turnovers, Luka is better than Harden in the playoffs. James Harden is my favorite player. And it saddens me to say this.
But don't you value regular season more?
To an extent.
Okay.
To an extent.
All right.
This is why. Look, because I know why you're saying that, because RJ Barrett, we have our debates.
No, I'm just asking because Harden.
No, I get it.
Regular season.
The difference is that when we could, I'm just going to talk about the RJ Barrett point a little bit. RJ Barrett played great in the regular season. And in the playoffs, he didn't play too good. But because of that, people are putting Kevin Huerter over him. The gap between RJ and Huerter in the regular season is such a gigantic gap that it doesn't warrant you putting Huerter over RJ because of the playoffs. But with Harden and Luka, the gap in the regular season is not too far.
Right.
And in the playoffs, the gap between Luka and Harden is far to where I'm like, Luka's the guy. I'm a James Harden fan. And I'm speaking to all James Harden fans out there right now. You know that when James Harden gets into the playoffs, there's always this feeling amongst us James Harden's fans that he might lay an egg. He might not. He might have a horrible game. With Luka, I don't even question it. I know Luka's coming into play. I know Luka's about to drop 40. I know Luka is going to put on a show. I don't have to worry about Luka not performing because I know he is. With James Harden, there's always that feeling. Even though our mind tries to tell us he'll be fine, in our hearts, in our souls, there is a feeling of doubt with James Harden in the playoffs. And that's the difference between Luka and Harden. Luka, I'm getting that great regular season production and that ability to carry a team to the playoffs, and I'm getting all-time great performances in the playoffs, and that's something you don't get from Harden.
So where would you put Harden in the league right now?
It's probably just behind Luka.
Just behind Luka.
because I think he's better than Jokic. I think he's better than Embiid and Dame. So it's really, for me, it's LeBron, not in order.
Yeah.
LeBron, Giannis, Steph.
Are you putting Kawhi in that list?
He was injured, so you didn't want to put him there.
Okay, so we're taking Kawhi out. But I'm saying
What, KD?
KD, okay, so KD.
Luka, Harden.
Okay, that's interesting.
So he's probably 5th, 6th. Harden is probably 5th, 6th.
It's just, it's tough because they're virtually like the same type of player. Guys who demand the ball, make plays for others. They've been in the same situations before. One-man show. I watched Luka play against the Clippers. You know me. I'm a Paul George fan. I watched every single game, and the counting stats do look great, but he reminds me of Harden in this sense. His play and his impact diminishes every quarter as it goes. In the fourth quarter, and it's not because he's not great, it's because obviously the team isn't good.
He has to carry a load.
Yeah, he starts to get tired, he has to carry a load, and that's why he reminds me of Harden in that aspect, where he starts to diminish and his body starts to wear on him. But you didn't say anything where it's like, the regular season is close. I'm gonna wait Harden no more because he's been in the MVP conversation a lot longer. He's putting up 35 points a game. But playoff performances, although Luka hasn't made it out the first round yet, his numbers in the first round against a playoff caliber team, a championship caliber team, has been phenomenal. And it's hard to really argue that. Like, you dead got me on that one.
But this is the thing, man, is that what I said was true. I know it's true. What's holding Harden back from being in a conversation with LeBron and KD and Giannis and even Steph is that in the playoffs, he has blunders.
Yep.
And I mean huge blunders, and where we question his regular season. All the games that he played in the regular season. James Harden has averaged 30 points 3 times in his career. He's only done it once in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Harden has averaged 34 points per game and 36 points per game in the regular season before. He has never averaged that in the playoffs for like an entirety of the playoffs. Not just a playoff series, for the entirety of the playoffs. He's never averaged above 34 or 36. The most he's averaged is 31. Luka, he's averaged 32 times in the playoffs. He hasn't done it once in the regular season.
So he ups his play.
He ups his play tremendously. And I get that quarter argument. I agree with it because numbers back it up that Luka does go down each quarter. But at least in the first and second, I'm getting Luka barrages. I mean, I'm getting like Father Kamehamehas from Luka. Like this guy is lifting his team on his back and building a lead.
Yeah.
Where Harden, he has that play for the entirety of the game. There isn't a moment in those games where Harden, you say he completely takes over. And obviously there are other things, there are other variables because Harden's passing is amazing too. So he keeps his team in games like that. But I think Luka over Harden is not a bad take. Like, no. Luka is phenomenal.
I'm trying to think now. I don't think I can give you a Harden signature moment in the playoffs. Maybe you can help me. I'm trying to remember. I really can't,
In my opinion, Harden's best moment is hitting that game winner over Golden State, which was in the regular season.
Damn.
But in the playoffs,
oh, wait.
actually, I do have a signature moment.
Oh, you gonna say the same?
It was probably Game 3 or Game 4 of the 2019 playoffs when KD and Harden were going back and forth. Harden had 40 that game, and his 3-point ball kind of ended the game.
I went far. I was gonna say 2012 against San Antonio, Game 5. He hits the step back over Manu Ginobili. No, over Kawhi Leonard, and that puts him up and sends him to the.
That was a signature moment too. But yeah, like you can't think of many signature moments that Harden has had. But with Luka, you can think of the game-winning shot against Reggie Jackson. He hit that over Reggie Jackson. You can think of that. You can think about these past playoffs where virtually every game was a signature performance. He was playing lights out. With Harden, he'll have, out of a 7-game series, he'll have 3-4 good games, great games. But he'll have 2 where you're like, where was he? And that's what's holding back Harden from these conversations. And getting a championship ring is going to mask a lot of that.
Yep.
When he wins a championship, because he will win with Brooklyn, people are going to forget about those moments. But for now, because he doesn't have one, they are very apparent, and they do stick out a lot. And I think putting Luka over Harden is not a hot take at all. I actually agree with that list. Over Steph is a little bit, I'll push back a little bit on that. But Over Harden, absolutely not. I think he deserves that ranking over him.
I never thought I'd hear today.
You're hearing it because I'm a Luka fan.
Oh, okay.
You're hearing it not only because I love Luka, but he's one of my favorite players.
So do you agree with the top, the five in order?
KD's 1. Giannis is 2. LeBron is 3. I agree with the order. I said LeBron's probably not top 3. You know, I think Steph is the 3rd. And I would put LeBron at 4 and Luka at 5. Or maybe interchange.
We're pretty in agreement with who's in the 5.
Yes. Whether you have Harden or Luka at the 5th spot doesn't matter to me. I'm cool with whatever, but I do think Luka deserves that right now. He deserves that right now because of his playoff performances. Yeah. They have been exceptional. They have been jaw-dropping when you watch him play. And Doc Rivers, some more Ben Simmons news. It feels like whenever we do a basketball episode, we can't do one without talking about Ben Simmons because there's something new that happens with him all the time. Doc Rivers went on First Take the other day, and he basically begged for Ben Simmons to come back. He said, we're not going to give up on Ben Simmons. We would love to have Ben Simmons back. These are actually the titles of the videos that ESPN posted to. And Ben, of course, has said he does not want to come back. And we know after Game 7 when the Sixers lost and Ben Simmons refused to take that shot, a reporter asked Doc, can Ben Simmons be the point guard to a championship team? And Doc Rivers said, I don't know. And in that First Take interview, he backtracked and said, basically, the next day I told Ben that we could win with you. But of course, he didn't say that to the public, so that probably still sat bad with Ben. And then in the First Take interview, he said that he thinks Ben Simmons can lead the Sixers to a championship or be a part of it at least. So is this a bad look for Doc Rivers and the Sixers, basically begging Ben Simmons to come back after throwing his dirt in the name? And obviously Ben Simmons attributed to that as well for a while now.
It's weird because you have Ben Simmons, you have Joel Embiid, you get the first seed in the East. You go play Atlanta. You are the heavy favorites. You blow it. Ben Simmons is one of the main reasons why you blow it. You go up, you have a post-game interview. Not only does your coach show lack of belief in your ability, your duo, your partner, your star partner also shows lack of ability. Then your city loses faith in you and show your lack of ability. Your coach says on the media that I don't know if we can win a championship with you. I would take that and I'd be like, all right, I'm out of here. I understand why Ben Simmons doesn't want to go back. It's probably not even has nothing to do with the fans. It's the fact that his star partner in crime and his coach has no belief in his game anymore. Is Doc backtracking? Yes, I believe he is backtracking because the trade block hasn't been good for them. They haven't been able to get anything good or accept anything. Let's not forget they could have got James Harden. Let's not put that over the table. They could have got James Harden, baited on that trade. Now you're looking at this. You can barely get anything for Ben, and Ben is making it difficult because he's deciding on where he wants to go. So it's like, and he has every right to because the way they disrespected him after that post game. And listen, I'm not gonna say Ben is completely right. You know, he should have took ownership of what he did. He should have took ownership of the fact that he didn't show up. But at the same time, when your star partner doesn't believe in you and your coach doesn't believe you, it's a tough situation. Doc is definitely backtracking because now we're in a situation where training camp is about to happen. Media day is on Monday, and you have no point guard. You don't have your third star. You don't have one part of your trio. You're now stuck with Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. You don't have your guy. Not only do you not have your guy, you don't even have pieces to fit in and plug in for that guy. You know, you're missing whatever you're going to get back for that guy. So now you're stuck in no man's land without your second best defender, without your lead playmaker, without your versatile jack of all trades. And now you're stuck because in the East where the Bulls got better, the Knicks got better, Indiana's back healthy, Charlotte got better, Miami got better, the Bucks are still here, the Nets are still here. In the East where the East, you can make the argument, is deeper than the West. It's more competitive. Now you're stuck in no man's land. Boston's still here. Now you're stuck with just Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. So, yeah, he's backtracking because he's trying to get his star back. Whether he told him the next day, I seriously doubt he told him the next day. But whatever. I'm going to give Doc the benefit of the doubt because he has a ring. But other than that, you know, you're going on the media. Now you look like a female because you're backtracking on what you say. Stand on what you said. and keep it pushing. But now you want to go try beg for him to come back. Even if he come back, he might not even play 100% for you guys. So it just looks bad on Doc and the organization and Daryl Morey as a whole.
Doc Rivers and Philly are realizing how valuable Ben Simmons is right now. And I don't know what it is with fans and just Twitter and social media when it comes to these athletes and how quickly they forget their value. But you go on Twitter, you go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, you go on YouTube, you go anywhere, and you just search up Ben Simmons and you read the comments about Ben Simmons. You would think he's not a top 40 player in the league right now. You would think he is not even cracking the top 100 the way that people talk about Ben Simmons.
Yep. Ben
Simmons is still a very good to great player and has aspects of great in his game. His passing is great. I mean, his defense is great. I mean, he has aspects of greatness in his game. He's not Giannis. He's not LeBron. He's not those guys.
Not Magic.
But not, of course, not Magic. But he's still a very good player. You know, he's still a very good player. He's still very valuable. He was in a DPOY conversation. And Philly realizes that. And that's why right now they're upset, because the best player they can get back in the trade for Ben is probably Malik Beasley. So, you know, you're Philly and you're looking at these trade offers from Cleveland, and they might not even be willing to give you Darius Garland for Ben. You look at Timberwolves, they don't want to give you D'Lo for Ben. You look at the Sacramento Kings, Halliburton is off the table for Ben. So, and I mean, Halliburton, he's a good player, but a rookie who averaged 12 a game is off the table for a DPOY candidate. I mean, it just goes to show you how far he's sunken. Golden State just said he's not a fit.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, where is he going to go? You know, Philly's looking at these trades and saying, wow, we can't get nothing back. We'll be lucky if we get CJ McCollum for Ben at this point. And last year, you look at the 76ers, they could have traded Ben for James Harden. Probably if the Blazers collapsed, Ben for Dame. Now they can't even sniff a trade like that. And that's huge, because Philly might end up losing in this situation. Doc Rivers said that they want the 76ers and him are going to do everything possible to bring Ben back. But we know how these things play out. Organizations don't win these disputes. They don't win them. If a player wants out and doesn't want to play for your organization, look at the examples in history. Those players are not going to play for your organization. You know, they're going to win that dispute in the end. And especially knowing Ben Simmons has Rich Paul as his agent, good luck. He's not going to win that at all. Rich Paul always gets the last laugh when it comes to these disputes. So, and he's married to Adele too. You know, shout out to him. No, married. Not that's his girlfriend. My bad.
Adele?
Yeah, Adele,
the singer.
Yeah, they're actually dating. Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to him.
Adele made it official.
She's a beautiful singer.
Yeah, not married. They're official though. Girlfriend and boyfriend though. Okay. So shout out to Rich Paul for that.
Shout out to Rich Paul for that.
Shout out to Rich Paul.
She's like great.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, Ben Simmons, top 10 defender in the NBA, top 40 player, one of the better playmakers. And, you know, that's why Philly's trying to beg for him back. And I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about this either, because Doc Rivers, I think he did a good job with Philly last year, but obviously you look at his collapse with the Clippers twice. Not just once, twice. With Chris Paul in Lob City and with PG and Kawhi. Twice. Collapsed with them twice. Then you look at with Philly, and now Ben doesn't want to come back. You know, this is a bad look on Doc. This is a bad look on Philly. This is a bad move. This is a bad look on Daryl Morey, who thinks he's smarter than everybody in the room, and right now he looks like he's about to get played.
It looks like he already got played. I mean, I want to see Ben play ball this year, you know, but he is fully stable on being where he wants to be and going for his happiness, and I respect that. At the same time, Doc, you know, the way you guys have put his trade value in so much. Both of you, both situations, both sides. Ben Simmons with his actions and the way he's come out and said, and the way he's handled the situation has put his trade value in the gutter. Same with Doc and how they bashed him as a basketball player, and the same with the fans. They've put his trade stock in the garbage. So it's like now you're looking at a situation where Doc, you need him back, and Ben, you kind of need Philly too, because you can't get out of Philly because you're not getting anything good back. So it's kind of a situation where both parties need each other. And it's going to be weird to see if he does show up for training camp, honestly.
And Doc Rivers even mentioned this as well. He said Ben Simmons is still on a huge contract. That's true, but that doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
Like, Ben Simmons can still get out if he wants to. You know, that really doesn't matter in the slightest at all. You mentioned as well, Joel Embiid wasn't too happy with Ben after Game 7, then goes on Twitter and says, I love Ben. You know, so everybody is backtracking on this Ben Simmons situation saga. And even for other organizations, it's hard for them to trade for Ben because of the way fans view Ben and fan bases view Ben. Let's say Minnesota trades for Ben and they do give up D'Lo. Timberwolves fans are going to go berserk. You know, that's not going to sit well with the Timberwolves fan base. If the Kings do trade a De'Aaron Fox or a Halliburton or, you know, some other players, it's not going to bode well for them as well. I think Sacramento likes what they have right now. Same thing with Portland. Same thing with Golden State. If they trade Kuminga and Moody, you know, they might go crazy too. So it's other organizations also having the pressure of the backlash of if they do give too much, the backlash might be too much to handle for them.
Listen, Golden State, I didn't see they already have death threats for Draymond not taking shots. So I can only imagine getting Ben Simmons in a room and seeing him on the court. They're just going to completely lose their minds. Sacramento, they're already a shit show. If they give up Fox, they're probably done. They'll probably have to relocate. I don't know where he can go. You know, he got to go back. He has to go back. He has to go back. He has to change the narrative of his name.
I wouldn't want to go back to Philly if I was Ben.
I wouldn't either, but you gotta look at all variables. You're gonna sit out all year and keep paying the fine? I personally wouldn't keep paying that fine.
I mean, I don't know. It's tough.
Like what you going? Like what is he legit gonna do? They can't. Golden State already established you're not a fit. Sacramento, they've said they're not. Tyrese Halliburton is untouchable. You should already know what type of guy you are if he's untouchable and you're better than him. LA, the Lakers can't do it. The Clippers can't really do it, but it would be cool if they could try to finesse. But you're Philly. You don't want Eric Bledsoe and Luke Kennard back. That's nothing. You're trying to win a championship still. You have Embiid. So what other California team is there? Because he already said, I want to go to Cali. That's all the teams. So he's kind of stuck. Minnesota has some good spots, but do you really want Malik Beasley?
He's a good player, but he gets arrested.
Yeah, so he just came out of jail. Like, is that the type of guy you want to bring in? Like, now you got to deal with a convict instead of Ben Simmons? I'd rather just keep Ben Simmons, a diva. It's like, they're stuck in this.
Deal with a convict.
Philly's stuck, man. They put themselves in a hole, and all this could have been avoided if Doc just made some adjustments in Game 6 and 7. This could have all been avoided, but
deal with the convict. Bro, you really got arrested.
He really, I tried to tell you too. Y'all talking about he didn't go to jail. I'm like, bro, he was dead in jail, bro. Like for like 6 months, he was really in there, bro. Oh man, Malik.
I heard that he was in jail and they gave him permission to go to the game still.
I don't even know how that works. It makes sense, but I just don't know how that works. But you pick him up and then drop him back off at jail. It's mad weird. Like, I don't know, bro. The NBA is crazy. Yeah, Philly's done. Where do you see them? No Ben Simmons. What we could say, playing
6-8. I mean, if Embiid gets hurt, they're a lottery team.
Yeah, I think if Tobias gets hurt, they're screaming for a play. Like, hopefully we get in, because now that's true. That's your 1-2 punch. And no offense, Tobias is a good player, but come on.
Yeah, it's tough, man. That's why Ben Simmons is so huge for this team.
Now you got Tyrese Maxey. He has to take on a big role.
That's why if I was Philly, I would just say, look, Sacramento. All right, Tyrese Halliburton is cool. We don't need him.
Just give us Buddy and Davion Mitchell.
Yeah, give me Davion. Nah, give me Bagley. Give me Davion or Bagley. Give me Davion with Bagley.
In a pick?
And a Terrence Davis.
Oh, okay. All right.
In a pick, and I'm going to be fine.
Well, they got to fill the money, so give me Davion, Bagley, and Harrison Barnes, and we'll be okay with it.
That's actually pretty good for Philly. It's a lot of depth.
Like, all right, give me a 3-and-D defender.
But I think Buddy and Davion would be dope too.
Buddy's an underrated. Buddy and Davion. Okay, you throw in Marvin Bagley. I'm giving you this guy.
I think if you get Buddy, Davion, now you have Davion, Buddy, Tobias, Thibault,
Seth Curry still in the bench?
Curry.
Tyrese Maxey.
That's a great team.
Yeah, you got a bunch of shooters. You can build it like Dwight in Orlando. Just put a bunch of shooters around Embiid. Let him do what he want. At this point, it's the best you're going to get because you're not getting Fox.
A team that has been linked to Ben Simmons are the Houston Rockets, and Houston Rockets fans are not too fond of this. They're mixed. You know, I've seen Rockets fans absolutely hate it, and they don't want Ben Simmons at all, and some think it's actually pretty good. You know, John Wall and the Rockets are working on a trade, so John Wall will probably most likely be involved in the package if this were to happen. And should the Houston Rockets do this move, if it does become available to them, should they trade for Ben Simmons? And if you were the Rockets, you're Raphael Stone right now, would you trade for Ben Simmons?
I was thinking about this move a lot, honestly. I was thinking about it all last night. I was up to like 5 in the morning. I was actually playing 2K, and I actually did the move in 2K. I would do it depending on what I have to give up. I feel like a KPG, Jalen Green, Ben Simmons lineup. What?
KPJ.
Oh, sorry. KPJ, Jalen Green lineup would be crazy with Ben Simmons, you know? But it's just like we just drafted 2 bigs, right? We have Christian Wood. We have Jason Tate. We have Daniel Tice.
Jason Tate.
Jason, sorry. I'm messing up on the names. We have Jason Tate. What do I have to give up for Ben Simmons? Probably Christian Wood, right? Christian Wood will probably have to go in that deal. I don't know.
I don't think so. You think?
Who would go?
I think it's really just John Wall, bro. I think it's John Wall picks in maybe like Kenyon Martin Jr. You know, some guy.
If that was the deal, John Wall, Kenyon Martin Jr.
Maybe Eric Gordon.
Picks, that's too much money.
That is a lot of money.
That's like $60 million. If I can just do that to John Wall, Kenyon Martin, and a bunch of picks, I would do it. You put Christian Wood, Ben Simmons, Jalen Green, KBJ on the floor, have a bunch of shooters around Ben Simmons, play a 1 in 4 out. That'd be dope. I like that. You bring in some defense. Ben Simmons is still young. He's actually younger than Christian Wood. So I would do that deal. But if you have to do more, if you have to give up your young guys, any of the young guys, I wouldn't do it.
When we look at the Rockets, it's really, I think KPJ, Jalen Green, and Christian Wood, to me, are the untouchables. Yep. They're the untouchables. So looking at their roster, so Daniel House could go, Eric Gordon, Usman Garuba, even him. Would you trade Josh Christopher?
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Christopher could
yeah.
Josh Christopher could go.
Would you trade Sengun? I'm asking you that.
I don't think you'd have to because they have Embiid and Drummond now, so you wouldn't have to.
Yeah. So
they have some guys they could probably trade, even though I do think it'd probably be John Wall. And you're right. I mean, thinking about a lineup where they have KPJ, Jalen Green, Jason Tate, Simmons, and Christian Wood, and even if you don't have Tate, like let's say House or Eric Gordon are in the starting lineup,
perfect.
You know, that is a really good team, and that sounds like a team that could be in the playoffs in the West. You know, I think Christian Wood averaging 20.
Playoffs is a stretch.
No, I don't think so. I think Christian Wood averaging 22 and 10. KPJ averaging 19.
But do you know what the playoffs is now? It's like you got to get to the 6th seed, bro.
Look, let's just think about it.
All right, got it.
Christian Wood 22 and 10. Ben Simmons, I think in a 5-out system where he's a ball handler, if that is Houston, he could give you like 18, 8, and 8. You know, KPJ giving you like 17 and 19. Jalen Green as a rookie, 15 to 16 is solid for him. You know, I think it could be a play-in playoff team. You know, obviously I think their seeding wouldn't be like 5th or higher. It'd probably be like 6 to 8, right? Even probably 7 to 8 range. But I do think that's a playoff team. I mean, you look at Houston right now, KPJ, Jalen Green, and Wood, they're really good offensive players, but in terms of defense, they're not great defensively. And Simmons gives them an additional playmaker on top of elite defense, which they lack right now. And like I mentioned before, just a year ago, we were talking about getting Ben Simmons for James Harden. And James Harden, who's the 2nd best Houston Rocket of all time. And now you're telling me you can get him for John Wall? And John Wall is not going to play the entire season regardless, and you can still get Ben Simmons. And I think some Rockets fans that don't like this move are looking at it in the aspect of Ben Simmons is going to ruin KPJ's development.
And Jalen Green.
And Jalen Green a little bit slightly. It could happen, but
that's what I've been saying.
It could happen, and you're probably not wrong in that aspect. It probably will affect him a little bit, and Ben Simmons is a really good player still. But think about it. This is the lowest Ben Simmons values is going to be ever, probably, right? So you can get him for a John Wall and a couple picks and maybe just a throw-in young player. What if Ben Simmons balls out for Houston? What if they make the playoffs? Now, if Raphael Stone is looking at it and saying, you know what? I like how Ben Simmons fits with the Rockets. I'm going to keep him. Or he can say, I want to trade Ben Simmons. Now his value after leading the Rockets to a play-in is at an all-time high. And now you can trade him for multiple picks and a player on top of that. Now you can flip Ben Simmons. And this is easy. This is easy flip-ems, man. This is like a game of drug dealing right here at this point. It's just an easy flip. You can flip Ben Simmons. I mean, it's really an easy flip if you think about it, if you think Ben Simmons can be good with the Rockets. And I think the only fear with this move is that the Rockets risk what they're trying to build with their young core. That's the only risk. But realistically, the Rockets have went, since James Harden has got into the Rockets, they have went from the playoffs every single year to the one sole year when they didn't have Harden, getting Jalen Green, and now a year later going back to the playoffs with Ben, or even fighting for a spot. So realistically, it's not like the Rockets have been rebuilding this young core forever, and it's kind of been like a 2-3 year process, and you risk it by having Ben come in. I mean, this thing is just getting started. And we've seen in the past before that young players, even though you fear that Ben Simmons takes away their touches or whatever like that, young players benefit from winning first and foremost. Yep. Look at Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown with Boston, his first 2 seasons was not a big factor on those teams. But they made the playoffs and he got better and got that experience. Young players benefit a lot from winning. What the Rockets don't want to be is a Sacramento where you have this insane group of young talent, but you never make the playoffs. They can probably make a push with Ben, and that would be dope because that 5-man lineup that I named is exceptional. And another point is that Kevin Porter Jr. is an insane talent. There's no doubting that. And the fear that Ben Simmons is going to stunt his development is warranted. I get it. But KPJ, before getting to Houston, was a guy you couldn't rely on. Mm-hmm. Was a guy that's issues with mental health and outside of basketball did hinder his production on the court and even sometimes didn't show up. I mean, KPJ for 20 games, about 20 games, was good with the Rockets, but has he shown to this point that you can rely on him for 82 or 72 plus? KPJ has not shown that yet. We know he's talented, but he's not shown that yet. Ben Simmons, regardless of what you want to say about him, right now, it shows that you can't rely on him because he doesn't want to show up to training camp. But for the majority of his career, he has been a guy you could rely on. So if you're worried about KPJ's development versus because of Ben Simmons, I think it's a little bit short-sighted because KPJ has not proved anything past 20 games that he can be reliable long-term.
I don't even think Ben Simmons is stunted growth because it's what has he shown you in Philly that he stunts anybody's growth other than his own?
I mean, let's name it. Matisse Thybulle's coming to his own.
Yep.
Landry Shamet, when he was with Philly, was playing awesome. The best basketball, I think.
Tyrese Maxey came into his own.
Tyrese Maxey came into his own as well. We could just name a couple players. I mean, we can name.
Seth Curry had a career year with Philly.
Exactly. Joel
Embiid had his best year alongside Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris is finally consistent.
And Jalen Green, when you watch him in the G League, he wasn't playing. He wasn't hogging the ball.
He doesn't.
He was coming off of a lot of curls and screens.
And Ben will pass you the ball.
Yeah, and Ben can be that player that can work with Jalen Green coming off those screens, so that could be a good fit.
I don't get
it's really about the KPJ fit. That's really what it is.
But Ben is okay not being the initial ball handler.
Yeah.
That's what I get that he stunts his own growth, but when Rockets fans talk about him stunting anybody else's, I don't even see that. I think from where he plays in Philly, he's only aided in helping other guys get better. And that's shown. Nobody's growth has been stunted with Ben Simmons. So that's a weird thing to say. I think he'll only help them. I mean, he walks in and instantly helps your defense by far because of the fact that how great he is defensively. And then KPJ can still run the one. Ben Simmons on offense a lot of the times played the 4 and was the screener. So in Philly. So I don't understand what they're saying. Like a lot of times he was the pick and roller. He was the guy who will hit you on the pin down. He could do that for Jalen Green. He'll set the screen. So and he'll probably play big man for Houston anyways on offense. So I think that'd be a good move. It's really honestly, if you can just get him for John Wall and a bunch of picks, I'd do it in a heartbeat because you're giving up nothing for him realistically.
Let's just think of this right here, right? Because without Ben, if the Rockets don't get a Ben Simmons and they run this upcoming season with this lineup that they have right now,
yep.
Realistically, they're probably a bottom team in the West. With Ben Simmons, they are not. No. They are a lock to be a playing team. Like there's no doubt about it. They're a lock to be a playing team. So if you're a Rockets fan, it's really about thinking of it from this perspective. Do you want to play the long game and bank on KPJ and bank on Jalen Green and bank on Christian Wood? Or do you want to just have success now?
Yep.
Because you can have that success now with Ben and these guys can still get better. Jalen Green, he's a rookie. He's 19. Jalen Green is not going to be Jalen Green until like his 3rd, 4th year in the league. You know, he's going to be a great scorer. He's going to be like a 16-point per game scorer probably his rookie year. Maybe he can reach 20. Even that is like, that's going to be hard. Maybe he can do it, but he won't be like that top 10 scorer in the league until like 4 or 5 years from now, right? KPJ, we'll see if he can build off his previous season. I think he can. But realistically, where's the ceiling? You know,
yeah.
If you're a Rockets fan, you're going to start seeing success with this group 3-4 years from now, probably 3. I'll say 3, right? With Ben, you can see it immediately. You can see it to the point where this year you guys are a playing team. Next year, you can be a really high playoff team, or you can make the playoffs and have a lock in the playoffs with KPJ having another year to develop, Wood having more chemistry, and Jalen Green being in his 2nd season. And like I mentioned before, Ben Simmons, this is the lowest. You can get Ben Simmons for pennies right now.
Yep.
This is an easy flip. This is paid in full.
Yeah.
I mean, you trade for Ben Simmons, you can flip him next year. You can get a star player, like a legitimate star for him. So, I mean, it's all about what they want to do. I think I can see it from both perspectives. So I can see it from both sides, but I'll pick a side right now, and I'll say that I think the Rockets should go after Ben Simmons.
Me too.
I think my gut feeling is telling me they should do it.
It's the one.
It would be a good move for them.
If it's just John Wall and one more young player like a Josh Christopher or Kenyon Martin Jr. or even just Jayshawn Tate.
I mean, yeah, I would throw Jayshawn Tate in there in a heartbeat.
Bye. Like, no offense, you're good, but bye. Like, throw some picks in there. Cool, we can have this.
Because then Eric Gordon could start there. And, I mean, that's a legit playoff team. I mean, like, that's a threat every night against teams.
It's a tough team,
But
man.
KPJ, Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Ben Simmons, Wood. I mean, you have, with Ben Simmons, Gordon, Porter, and Green, you have 4 guys who can get a bucket at any time. Well, I guess, Ben, you don't put him in that category.
No.
But you have 4 playmakers. You have 4 initiators, which is huge for an offense. It's huge for shot creation.
They're clowns, man. What are you holding down John Wall for, bro? It really just depends on Philly, man. If Philly's willing to accept John Wall and a young guy, you know. But at this rate, I feel like at this point you still kind of get the perimeter defense with John Wall, and you still get a slightly less better playmaker.
You get somebody who could play with Embiid well.
Mm-hmm. He just can't shoot, but he'll take the shot. So that's one thing you wanted. So it's just the only thing with John Wall is his injury history is just like Joel Embiid's. He gets hurt a lot, so that's the risk.
And that could blow up in Philly's face.
It's gonna blow up regardless.
So Zion Williamson, there was a viral video that surfaced about him, and the person who posted this video was Step Back Ash. I think it's Ash, or it's pronounced H. I don't know.
Sorry, Josh Gordon has been reinstated into the league.
That's cool. I feel like that's been happening like 3 times.
It does.
But Step Back H or Ash posted this video on Twitter And I mentioned his name because he's a big supporter of the podcast. He's a big supporter of the podcast. He's reposted our videos a couple times now, so shout out to you, bro. And he posted a video of Zion Williamson at a baseball game walking, and Zion appeared to look overweight and a bit out of shape. I believe you quote tweeted the tweet and said Zion looks fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you quote tweeted it and you gave your input on that as well. And are you worried about Zion after seeing that video surface of him appearing to be overweight? Are you worried about it?
His play? No, because he came into overweight last year. Well, not last year, his rookie season. He came in overweight. So, but the way, I don't know, like when I was watching the video, he kind of looked like a little Shaq. You know how when Shaq came into the seasons overweight and then he kind of just played it off. Zion did look a little big and a little fat in them clothes, but to his play, no, he's going to play phenomenal. He's going to play exceptional. The only thing that worries me is his injuries. Like, that's a lot of weight on your knees, and he's a guy who gets bouncy. He jumps high. He uses his athleticism a lot. So the only thing that would concern me is his injuries. Like, he's been a guy who hasn't been able to play a full season yet. So being that heavy and playing that type of style doesn't always fit the injury history, so that can be something that's bad. And I worry for his training staff. Like, who's the guys that are training him? Who is he working with? What is his agent doing? Like, why is he that type of weight at this type of the season? Training camp is in what, 2 weeks? Less than a week? Why are you at that weight? Why are you coming into training camp like that? Zion should have been working. He should be extremely fit. But aside from stuff like that, I'm not worried about his play. He's going to put up 25, 8, and 5 religiously, whether he's fat or not, because he's just that great of a player.
I think this should be the least of anybody's concerns. I think Zion just averaged 27 on all-time great efficiency in the paint. This does not worry me in the slightest. I think Zion knows how to take care of his body. I'm not going to judge him. I'm not going to judge him for that because, I'm not sure. Maybe that video was just a bad angle. Maybe it just was a bad clip. Maybe he's not even overweight.
Yep.
You never know. So could have been the clothes, could have been the baggy clothes. He doesn't know how to dress very well, so it could have been that.
But you did say fat people wear baggy clothes.
That's true.
You did say those were baggy.
That's because they're
clothes.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
Baggy clothes are comfortable for fat people. That is true.
Those clothes were baggy.
For skinny people, it could be comfortable too. You never know.
It's too much space.
I think Zion's body type is
those were baggy as hell clothes.
Zion's body type is baggy style body type.
Tight would just look real weird.
I mean Zion, but like I said, Zion doesn't know how to dress, so it's like you just look at his outfits. He's just a low profile dude.
Yeah.
He's not really worried about his outfit much. I'm actually more worried about the Pelicans front office than I am about anything Zion weight related because they have called David Griffin Krause, referencing to Jerry Krause, and he basically ruined the Chicago Bulls.
Krause got 6 of them things.
I mean, that's true. Griffin has nothing to show for nothing. I mean, outside of Cleveland and stuff, right? But I'm worried about that because Zion could become the first rookie to deny a rookie contract extension. And his extension, based on how he played, could be upwards to $100 to $200 million.
You think he does that, though?
I think Zion does.
I think he takes the money and requests a trade after.
In fact, I think Zion Williamson is going to be the first rookie to deny a rookie extension of that amount of money.
That'd be retarded.
You think so?
You can just request a trade. You can get your money and then get out. I don't see leaving that type of money on the table and denying it,
I think Zion can get that money anywhere.
You can't get the same money because that's the team that drafted him. Only the team that drafted him.
Unless he gets an All-NBA, Supermax.
That's the only team that will be able to require that amount of money. That'd be insane. That would be an indictment on how bad the Pelicans front office is.
But Zion can get all that back in endorsements with New York, with the Knicks.
Oh, my God. So I'm assuming you think he's going to New York.
It's not about if, it's about when. Zion is going to be a New York Knick sooner rather than later, and R.J. Barrett and him are going to team up, and they're going to finish their unfinished business when in Duke, they didn't win a championship.
Yep.
So both of them want to win a championship, and they want to do it with the Knicks, for the Knicks, and bring a championship back to the city of New York.
How long is this going to take?
I say, look, the 2000s decade, that was dominated by the Spurs, right? And you know who else? Who won?
The Warriors. What are you talking about? 2000s.
2000s decade.
Oh,
not
Spurs,
2010s.
Lakers, Boston.
The 2000s decade was dominated by the Spurs, Lakers. Boston won a chip
Detroit.
in that. Detroit won a chip too. The 2010s decade was mostly dominated by the Warriors, but also you had the big three Miami Heat.
Spurs, Cavs.
Yeah, so the 2020s decade
Oh my God.
is going to be dominated by the New York Knicks because we're building a good culture, and Zion wants to come to New York. He's already said MSG is his favorite place to play. So Zion is coming to New York. Luka, he said he wants to come to New York too. So I'm just saying, we're looking 6 years from now, we're looking at a Zion Luka dynamic duo with the Knicks right now. So
No RJ.
RJ is going to be that third. It's going to be a big three. It's going to be Luka, Zion, RJ, and we're going to win multiple championships.
That's interesting. Okay.
It's going to be in the 2020s decade that we do that.
Oh my jeez. I don't know about the Luka part. Zion's way more realistic than Luka. I think Zion does have a chance to go to the New York Knicks, though. That'd be freaking crazy for you guys, honestly.
But David Griffin has been called Griff Krause, and him and Zion barely talk. Zion wanted Lonzo back. You didn't get him back, right? Pelicans, they've made good moves this offseason. I like them, but most of the moves have been trying to make up for the bad moves they made the previous offseason, like offloading Bledsoe, offloading Steven Adams.
Yep.
You know, that's really what it was. And now they have made some good moves, but really it's just a Band-Aid, right, to a bigger problem. Zion Williamson's family is already unhappy with the Pelicans. I think this is inevitable, and I think Zion does become the first player to not accept that rookie extension. And he might even ask to get traded before then. Imagine.
That'd be insane.
Imagine
bro.
if Zion gets asked to get traded this upcoming year
On a rookie deal?
on a rookie deal. And then we trade Emmanuel Quickly for him.
He's on a rookie deal, so you don't have to give up much. That'd be insane.
Imagine we trade like Quickly and Mitchell Robinson and
Like 4 picks.
yeah. That'd be insane.
It's the Pelicans are about to drive out another generation of talent. They already drove out Anthony Davis. They're about to do it to Zion. And it would just be like, after Zion, what else is there going to be? You know, nobody's going to want to go to play for New Orleans. They thought David Griffin was going to change the environment. He hasn't not. The fact that you don't speak to your star player is very, very weird to me. I don't understand the concept there. You're supposed to have a connection, a relationship with your star player because the job is to make him happy. You see Mark Cuban and Luka Doncic. They have a relationship. They understand each other. Like, you saw LeBron, Pat Riley, D Wade, Pat Riley. They had an understanding. They had a relationship. Like, you're supposed to have a relationship with your star players, bro. Steph Curry, Bob Myers. Like, it's that certain relationship that you have. That's what keeps guys happy, keeps guys in organizations, keeps the stars in organizations for a long time. And David, the fact that you don't speak to Zion, New Orleans is a shit show.
Yeah, we'll see how all this plays out. It doesn't feel like it's going to be a good ending, though. No. It could, though. You never know. They should have just gave the Knicks the first overall pick, bro. I swear.
Yeah, I mean, at that point.
But then we wouldn't have RJ.
Good. You have Zion. What the hell?
I want both, though.
Yeah, but come on. Like, you should have got 2. You could have got
I'm selfish.
Would you rather have 2, 1, or 3 in order? What would it have been?
What do you mean?
Like, you had 1, 2, 3. You had to put which pick would you have the most? Which one would you rather have?
So you're telling me between Zion, John, RJ?
Yeah. Like, if you had 2, would you still have picked RJ or would you pick Ja?
I'm picking Ja.
Oh, you're a smart guy. I thought you'd have picked RJ. Thank God.
I'm picking Ja.
Good move.
But RJ could be better long term.
He could be, but I feel like Zion and Ja would have been crazier.
I think John Randall pick and roll would be cool. Be dope.
Of course. Ja different.
Yeah, he would have been great. I'm not going to, because the thing about it is, like, Ja just has an explosive play style to the point that he puts butts in his seats more than RJ can. Like, RJ is a good player, but he plays stiff.
Yeah.
Like, Ja Morant would really bring electricity back to the Garden.
Yeah, the Garden would be pretty lit with him in there.
I want you all to myself, I swear. And that's why I want Zion, and I wanted Zion and RJ. It's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
But not too soon. So that does it for all the topics that we have on this show. But we are going to answer some questions that people have asked us on TikTok. So we're doing something new where people on TikTok ask us questions on that like Q&A section, and then we just answer it here and we post the video on TikTok. It is great for us having content to post on TikTok because most of the time it's just me trying to find what would work best. Or this is better because it's like direct questions so we can answer it, right? So it's a little bit better. Also, Drew wasn't on the show today. I mentioned it last show that he has like a bunch of homework and exams and stuff coming up. So he's not going to be on the show for like 2 weeks. So we've actually have people to fill in. JC's coming next week on Friday.
Isn't he still in Chicago?
He's coming back.
Oh.
Yeah. We have a friend, Marquise, who's a childhood friend who is supposed to come in on Tuesday, I believe. We'll see. He has a lot of hot takes for you guys.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's gonna be a funny show. You guys want to be there for that. But yeah, we're gonna have people fill in while Drew is gone and working on his stuff. You know, we wish the best for him.
Hope he passes.
Yeah, you know, school comes first, so hopefully, you know, he gets what he does and
He better not come
he does
here
what
and
he
say
does.
He fails.
Yeah, he better pass.
Yeah, or he's done.
Yeah. So we support him whatever time he needs. So, you know, right now, of course, he's in nursing school, so that's a lot of notes and stuff. So he has to pass that. So that's what we're gonna do moving forward. And let's get on to these questions.
How many we got today?
3.
Okay.
3 people answered so far. There's that video I posted. I just posted it. It has 4 comments. 3 of the comments were questions.
Okay.
The 4th one was somebody saying clown.
Okay.
So first question, B Paul 17. Who has the higher ceiling, Jalen Green or Cade Cunningham?
I'm gonna go Cade because he's more versatile in his offensive game and on defense. He's already a great team defender. He can get ball. He can get better as a perimeter defender. He's a great playmaker. He's already developed that jump shot, and he still has ways to go to be an efficient finisher. But he has more in his bag in terms of all around game. So I'm gonna go with Cade.
Look, I'm going with excuse me. Excuse me. So look, Jalen Green is a phenomenal scorer. I think he can be one of the top scorers in the league one day. But Cade Cunningham is so versatile. He can pass, he can rebound, he can score, and he's a very good team defender. You just can't teach 6'8".
Yep.
Like Cade is 6'8" and can handle the ball at an effective level. You can't teach that. Jalen Green, I think, is more in the mold of a Bradley Beal, where Tatum is more in the mold of,
Tatum?
Oh my gosh, I'm stumbling. Jalen Green is more in the mold of a Bradley Beal, where Cunningham is more in the mold of a Jason Tatum, Luka. I think he's more Tatum than Luka, but still, I do think Cade has a higher ceiling than Jalen Green. Now, next question is, what's the difference? So, okay, brace yourself for this.
Okay.
So, what's the difference between MVP and best player?
The best. All right. So an MVP.
I think this is easy.
Well, in my opinion, the MVP is just who was the best player for that regular season. But I think who's the best player is who's consistently been on top of the game for a number amount of years.
So look, I think this is an easy question because MVP is just who had the best season that year.
Yeah.
Right? Look at it this past year. Nikola Jokic. He had the best season this past year along with Embiid, but Embiid, of course, was hurt. But we know Jokic or Embiid, they're not better than Giannis. They're not better than KD. They're not better than LeBron or Steph. We know either KD or Giannis or LeBron are the best players in the NBA, and Jokic and Embiid are not there. And I think this question stems from that Derrick Rose debate that we had, right?
Yep.
Where we listed 10 players that are better than D Rose. Some people disagree, but that's besides the point. Derrick Rose, when he won MVP, wasn't the best player in the league.
It was LeBron.
LeBron was the best. The reason they didn't give LeBron the award was because he didn't have the better season than D Rose. Statistically, he did, though.
Yeah.
But it's because LeBron just came off of not winning a championship and choking in the finals. They didn't give it to him, but even that year, LeBron, Kobe, D Wade, they were better than Derrick Rose that year. I mean, Kevin Durant was better than Derrick Rose. When Derrick Rose won the MVP in 2011, he wasn't even a top 5 player in the league.
What?
He wasn't.
What you talking about, bro?
Is LeBron better than him?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my prime Miami LeBron, by the way.
Yeah, he's better.
Okay, KD.
Yeah.
He's better. Carmelo Anthony.
Debatable.
Kobe Bryant.
Valid.
Dwight Howard.
Valid.
Dwayne Wade.
Those are the okay.
Dirk Nowitzki coming off of Finals MVP.
We talk about the end of that season.
The end of that season, yeah.
Okay, those are debatable. He was definitely top 8 though.
He was top 8, but like what I'm saying is like, okay, this is Bleacher Report's top players from the 2010, 2011 season, or it was the
start of 2011, 2012.
No, I think Rose won it the 2010.
No, I know he
season.
won it, but was that list based like after the season?
Yes. So okay, I'm getting Bleacher Report right now. There. What the hell?
Where'd they have him ranked?
Okay.
Oh boy, Josh Allen.
I'm looking at this right now. Okay. So I think I got the official list. So Bleacher Report in 2010, 2011 released their top 10 players list in the NBA. They actually released top 50 players. And
yeah, we don't care about the other.
I'm scrolling down to get where Derrick Rose is at. So Derrick Rose came in 12th.
Who was in front of him?
Rajon Rondo was in front. That's ridiculous. Okay, so
Who's 10?
Paul Gasol was 10. Dirk Nowitzki 11. I mean,
Debatable.
Dirk Nowitzki 9.
That's debatable. That's valid.
Carmelo Anthony 8.
That's debatable. That's a valid
That was when
one.
he was still on Denver too.
Yeah, that's a valid one.
Darren Williams Jazz.
No,
Dwight Howard.
that's valid.
Chris Paul.
Debatable, but that's
Hornets.
valid. Yeah,
Dwayne Wade.
that's a valid argument.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
LeBron.
yeah,
Kobe.
yeah.
So what I'm saying is that.
Well, Darren Williams, Rondo.
But what I'm saying is that the year Derrick Rose won MVP, he wasn't even a top 5 player. Kobe was better. LeBron was better. Dwayne Wade was better. Chris Paul was better. He is the point guard for a reason. That was prime Chris Paul before he went and changed the Clippers as a franchise. Dwight Howard was better as well. Dirk Nowitzki off of finals was better. So, I think, yeah, Derrick Rose wasn't a top 5 player. Kevin Durant was better. So Derrick Rose was top 8, but he wasn't top 5 even when he did win MVP. And that's the difference between MVP and best player. Best player is who's the best player in the league. We know every year it's either LeBron. This year it's kind of different because it's either KD or Giannis, or maybe you still have LeBron. MVP just means you had the best season, but it doesn't mean you're the best player.
Yep.
That's it. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Yo, Derrick Rose wasn't even top 5, top 6 then. And people think he'd be top 15 today. Oh no, like top 10.
Yeah, I think top 15.
Because most of the guys in the top 10 now, outside of Luka, are literally in their primes.
Yeah.
Like they're in their prime. So,
I think he'd be top
all we're
15.
doing is taking that 22-year-old Rose and slotting him in here. We're not taking into account development or nothing like that. We're just slotting that player into now.
But that's the same thing in 2011. Chris Paul was kind of in his prime. LeBron was in it. D Rose was the Luka at that point. Just coming in 22 years old. So that's crazy. That's actually crazy at a Rose reverse. That's crazy.
Chris Paul was a dog.
Facts.
He was a dog. Now this other question. What will the final Ben Simmons deal be? So where do you think he ultimately gets traded to?
Nowhere. I think he stays.
You think he stays?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm going with the Houston Rockets.
Oh, dude.
I think the Houston Rockets are gonna trade a combination of John Wall, picks, probably Jayshawn Tate, or like a Kenyon Martin Jr., maybe Josh Christopher is in the deal. And I think they get Ben Simmons. Now the Rockets will have a lineup of Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Eric Gordon or Jayshawn Tate, Ben Simmons, and Christian Wood. That's a really good lineup. And I think they can sneak into the play-in or playoffs. It depends. But I think Houston and Ben Simmons would be a really good fit.
Yeah.
I really do. So, yeah, and that's going to do it for this episode of the Pick Aside Podcast. This was episode 115. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Pick Aside Podcast, on Twitter at Pick Aside Pod. And if you want to, you can subscribe to our Patreon or via YouTube membership and get access to our Discord, an exclusive episode, and topic suggestions and weekly questions and all these other stuff, all these other perks. We really appreciate it. You guys are what's keeping this podcast afloat. Hopefully one day we hope to do this full time. This is a full-time gig, and your support via a view, a subscription, a follow, a Patreon donation goes a long way in helping us secure that one day. So thank you so much for your support. We'll see you next time, and peace.